Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Kino. Ryan and I talk about movies usually, and but this week we're not going to be talking about a movie. We're not going to be talking about a TV show. Ryan, what are we talking about this week?
We're talking about The Last of Us Part 2.
Mm.
And as you said, Moses, it's not a film or like a TV show, which we've done both, but we've also looked at music and music videos on.
Yeah, we don't want the
on
music
here.
video aspect of it and how the music
but like
the video,
which again is a different type of media format in and of itself. We've explored different types of media,
but video game is probably
this is really no different.
The wildest medium I think we've tackled so far.
In a sense, but not. Completely. I don't think in this context. Because like it is so story driven and so character based and so revolved around the story that it is essentially a playable film. And like
I don't like
to
that.
me it makes it
I don't like you say that. I don't think a film could reach the heights of the game though.
Playable TV show then because of the length. 30
no, it's
hours.
not just the length, it's the effect that the mix of the story and the gameplay have on you. That's a discussion for later.
Oh yeah. No, it's entirely unique to its own medium. Yeah. But like the way the story and characters present itself isn't like playing something like GTA, where it's like, lots of gameplay, minimal story, and we talk about that. It's like, no, we're talking about the story and characters as we would with a film or TV show.
So, yes, we're talking about The Last of Us Part 2. I thought it would be a good place to start off and say what our relationship is with The Last of Us Part 1.
Good idea.
Before we get into Part 2. I am relatively new to video games. Video games in V-I-D-Y-A. Video games. And The Last of Us Part 1 was the first video game I ever played on the PlayStation 4 when I got it recently. And it is, up until maybe this new game we're talking about this week, my favorite game. Not just because the story is told in a cinematic way, but because of like the scope of the story, the mix of how the gameplay complements the story to make it better than it would be as a movie or TV show. And I think simply the character work it does within its own medium transcends the medium of video games to be something greater. Similar to how people say that Watchmen isn't a good graphic novel, it's like an all-time great story. Mm-hmm. That's how I see the first Last of Us. It transcends the medium.
So I played video games since I was a kid. Obviously less so as I've gotten older. I mean, priorities, life, things happen. But I've never owned a PlayStation. So I played the first Last of Us in my first year of uni, almost 2 years ago now. With my friend Alex, and it was amazing. I never played a game like that. I remember at the time thinking, this is one of the best games I ever played, but not the best, because I thought story's incredible, but it doesn't to me, in my opinion, I think the first game is like top 2 or 3 games of all time. Stories of all time. I agree with that sentiment that you just said. I fully agree with that. But to me, it didn't transcend the medium it's in. Because like the gameplay is very good and it's very strong, but like to me it wasn't. I guess when we talk more about Last of Us 2,
it's also dated.
It didn't feel as refined. So like the story
it's
itself.
It's a PS3 game. It's a bit older, so in terms of the gameplay, I'm a bit more.
Well, the remastering.
Yeah, but they didn't change the gameplay really. They didn't change the gameplay in the remaster. They optimized it graphically for PS4.
Yeah. But still, like
gameplay-wise, I'm fine with the limitations because they had limitations.
I don't really. I'm not too fussed about it.
We're not going to really talk about the gameplay today, anyway. Unless it's complementing the story, which we'll get into later.
Right, and for me, so I thought it was an incredible game, so emotional, and the story in it was definitely the best I'd ever seen in a video game. And like to me, that's what I want out of games is stories and like linear stories. And I thought it was fantastic. And then I replayed it before playing Part 2 about a couple weeks ago, and I enjoyed it even more. Like before, I was like, it's not my favorite game of all time.
I enjoyed it more on the second playthrough as well.
I did because because the first time I played it with Alex.
Someone else.
And it's a different experience. I think you need to play these games alone because
I agree. I completely agree.
I think they're so emotionally affecting, and there were a couple moments that like in the first game didn't quite hit me in this, and you know, hit me the second time around, emotionally speaking, and like, you know, yeah, it's a game that definitely gets to the core of its characters and like emotionally involves you, and like it is I think it's the only game I've ever like cried at and like given the same emotional weight that I have given to like film or TV, because the story is that good.
Yeah, and we'll talk about like, what people are willing to give to a video game later as well, because I think that's a big discussion to have around Last of Us Part 2. But I agree with you completely with what you said about you need you should play this game alone. I have a friend who is playing the second one with a group of friends, and I'm just like, I'm happy you're getting to experience the story, because he wouldn't have like bought the game himself because he doesn't have a connection
otherwise
to this franchise. So I'm like, at least you're like getting to experience it, and you like it's interesting. So I'm like happy he's doing that, but it's like you're not getting the full scope, because it is, you really should be playing this game alone in the dark and like
I agree.
getting really into it.
Yep.
I played this game, Last of Us Part 2. I think we can move on to that now. I pre-ordered this game. I played it the second it came out at midnight. I was so excited. Like I was texting you all week. Like it's been a long time since I've been this excited over a video game.
I don't think I ever have been.
Like it's been sorry, not about a video game, about anything. Like about a piece of media coming out.
Yeah.
Like I was super excited when The Force Awakens came out, and I've been excited for like smaller films and such. But like I was like it felt like Christmas when this game came out.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
you played it 2 weeks before I did. You played it launch day.
Yeah, it's almost been a month since it came out. It came out on June 19th, and I'm actually going to be replaying it on July 19th, 1 month after I started it. So I've been waiting to go and do New Game Plus. But what I really love about this game is how it's. I'll backtrack in a second, but I'll finish the sentence. What I really love about this game, it's a fantastic continuation of this universe with these characters, and everything makes sense. But man, it's not what you expect in the best way possible, and it shows you how competent these writers are, and how better they know the story than anyone else.
I mean, we'll talk about that, I guess, when we get into like some of the controversy and
by the way,
way that
all of this
spoilers.
All of the spoilers.
Yeah.
Fully spoilers.
Well, yeah. Again, that's a standard for us. Like we're not.
Yeah, but if someone listens to this without knowing.
Fair enough. For me, you know, I was also very much looking forward to it. But playing it was such a different experience, because for so long, you know, you're just like, you're so involved with the story and the characters that you know, and then once it makes that switch, even the way that you felt about that character, like Ellie beforehand, has changed, and then you're changing your opinion about Abby. So the first half of the game compared to the second half is like, you know, going through that, it was like every time I played, there was something about it I thought I didn't like, for like even if it was a split second. And I found that to be such an interesting experience, and we'll talk about it as we go down. But I think for me, why this is like the best game I've ever played, and you and I both agree, like one of the best pieces of media ever
in recent history. I can't. Personally, this is like one of
personally
the best.
I'd say ever.
Yeah,
because
I think one of the best.
To me, this stands toe to toe with like Breaking Bad and Lord of the Rings for me. And I think that's because it's not just a game that requires you to be a player and use a controller.
Attentive. It really requires you emotionally to be part of it.
It requires you to, like, I think what it does so well is it requires you to be a part of it, in a sense that, like, yeah, okay, like you're using the controller in gameplay moments like that, but in story moments, like, you're an active participant, which makes you in line with one character's opinions, and then you're in line with another character's opinions. And then by the time you get to the end, you see and understand both sides. And the wider message of that context of, like, as human beings, we always need to, like, we always need to take other people's experiences and their understandings of, you know, their surroundings and their lives into our own before we can predetermine what kind of person they are. And that the world is a gray place, and it's not showing that to you, it's forcing you to experience it. And to me, that was that fine line, is because you can show that. The first Last of Us shows that, but to have you actually do that in your own free time, once you put it down and continuously, you know, have that dilemma with yourself, the same way
Live
that
in
the
the world
characters
outside
are.
of the controller.
I think it's more immersive than like VR is, because VR, like, yeah, it's immersive in that like your body's there. But like, to me, this is, I think objectively, I think people can say it's one of the best pieces of media ever, because it transcends the medium it's in. It does.
No, but that's
Anything
personal. You think
no, it does. It does. It does.
You can't say
transcend the
anything
medium.
objectively.
I think objectively, you can absolutely say that about this game.
About what?
It transcends the medium,
No,
unlike
but
any
someone
other
else
video
can
game
think
prior.
that it doesn't transcend the medium. That someone
Yeah, okay,
maybe won't have the emotional reaction.
Okay, but the criticisms you and I have both seen to that, of like people saying that it's not a good game, aren't legitimate criticisms.
No, I've seen.
So to me, I can say that objectively. I have not. I haven't seen a single valid criticism.
No,
not one.
You're allowed to see criticisms, and disagree with them, but that doesn't mean they're not valid.
Oh,
the ones you're talking about are not. No, I've seen good criticisms. There are people can have problems with the pacing.
What's a good criticism you've heard? Pacing. Okay.
There are pacing issues that people can find within the game, which I think is fair to be bugged with some of the pacing stuff. I have one of my criticisms. It's minor. It has to do with the pacing in the first half. I'll get to that. I do have a pacing issue, and it's legit. It's an actual issue I have. Believe it or not, I have a criticism of this game. But also, I'm like, it's a 25-hour campaign. Like, what do you expect?
I'm not saying it's. Yeah. I'm not saying it's perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but you can't.
Nothing is, and we said that.
Nothing
last week or the week before.
Nothing is objective. I won't back down from that.
I think some things are objective, and I think
when it comes to the arts, pacing, no.
But the pacing I think is fair enough, but I think beyond that is like, that's not really the thing that's going to make you go. Why does it transcend? It's not what the game is worth.
So what it transcends the medium for you?
Because the point of video games is interactive and being interactive, and there's nothing that's ever been interactive to this degree. It doesn't ask you to be interactive as a player. It asks you to be interactive as a human being. But no, that's not my opinion. That's the direct intention of the creators.
Yeah, but
and it succeeds.
Just because
the majority of people
doesn't mean it affects everyone that way.
Yeah, but that just because it doesn't affect them doesn't mean it's objectively not the case. The same way that like you're saying that for me. You know what I mean? They may not like where the story goes and whatnot.
That's not what I'm saying.
But objectively speaking, the way that the game was made is unlike any game prior, because it's asking you to engage interactively beyond just playing the controls and investing in the story.
I want to cut this part out. More. You can't say it's objective.
In my opinion, that aspect is objective.
You're a film student. You can't say that. So? That's not how it works.
Okay, but that's
your bachelor's degree revoked, like
okay, I'm not saying objectively you have to think that it's like a brilliant thing, because people I haven't seen. The pacing is okay, that's fair enough, and I'm glad that you found valid criticisms. In my research, I've just found people being transphobic, homophobic,
but that's what you see on the surface,
or coming up with their own narratives of the game, and they don't. And when people do that, and I'm saying that when people do that, we talked about that this morning, and like Jeremy Johns did it, but other people have done it too. When people do that, they don't go, this is what was wrong, and this is why I think it'd be better. They just go, this is what I think would be better, and that's what I mean. If I haven't heard a single valid criticism, pacing, okay, I understand that.
I find it shocking that you, as a film student, can say that.
I can say like objectively, I don't like Stanley Kubrick, but objectively, technically wise, he's made some of the greatest films of all time.
That's interesting that you say that. So moving past this objective argument, which I will not back down from. And I actually kind of got mad at you there for a second. I apologize.
That's okay. It's going around.
You actually haven't gotten me that heated in a while, because I feel quite strongly about objective.
Then even removing that, I do think that for me, then I will say
nothing is objective in media analysis.
For me, I think that this is something that transcends the medium it's in, which is rare, not just in film or like not just in gaming, but in film or TV. It's very rare to come across something like that. The last time I did was Breaking Bad, and the last time I did before that, I can't even remember. And like, to me, there are very few things, again, for me, that like that do that. And to me, this does that because I've played a lot of games in my life. Like, you know, I've gone through different Nintendo consoles. I've had an Xbox for 7 years. And I have never, ever, ever seen a game that requires you to interact on this level beyond just what a game makes you interact with. And to me, that is why it transcends it in a way that no other game has. And that to me is like my overall general opinion.
Sorry, I've been fidgeting with this the whole time.
You're fine. We can move on and start going through the story. I think we've given our overall thoughts.
What I was going to say, I haven't been this physically and emotionally affected by a piece of media maybe ever. To the point where it's messed me up for days.
I can name 2 or 3 things that have done that for me.
Like what?
Both the ends. Sorry, the last few episodes of both season 4 and 5 of Breaking Bad did that to me.
What messed you up for
the
days?
crawl space episode? The crawl space episode had me like thinking about it and like fucked up for like a couple days.
It's not just thinking about it. It's like I felt ill for days almost, just like internally conflicted and messed up inside, and I just felt like absolute shit.
I felt that way playing it, but after completing it, I definitely don't feel that way. Because like I think there is a like a darkness to the ending, but also like some level of hope. And I've consistently thought about it. You know, it is consistently on my mind in a way that like most things never are. So like I definitely give credit to that. But definitely when playing, like there were so many story beats and moments where like, and to me, I think why I didn't feel this pacing as much is because I didn't run through it. I did a chapter a day, which is what felt right to me. I still think
you'd feel the pacing issues.
But I don't know. Maybe because for
I'll
me,
explain the pacing issue.
My issue for me for the pace, like my issue with the game doesn't have to do with pacing, because I do have one small like nitpick, which we'll come to later. But like I think that the completely blanked out there. I started thinking about my nitpick. Remind me, please, Moses.
What?
Total
we were talking
brain
about
fart.
pacing.
Pacing. Thank you. And I get that because it's a long game, and I get that if you're sitting and playing it continuously. But for me, I didn't have that problem because I approached it in a very different way. Whenever I'd get to an end of a chapter, I'd be like, "That's it for the day. I just played 3 or 4 hours.
I played how I felt.
But to me, that is how I felt like playing. Because at the end of every chapter, I just felt emotionally drained, and I wanted to sit with it and let it sink in and have me fully understand the story, the scope, the characters before moving forward. And for me, that's what worked. So I never felt that pacing because I played it over the course of like, I think a full week, like exactly 7 days, Saturday to Saturday. And I did a chapter a day, except for the last, the last bit that I followed your advice and I played like 5 hours straight and like finished it.
I think that's the best way to do the last like.
So pacing issues.
Yes. Okay. My pacing issue, and it's quite minor. It's really short, and I'm curious to see how it goes playing it a second time. But there's a section of the game in the first half. It's in between Ellie's part day 2 and day 3, where it really feels like you're just being like, oh, someone's here. Press L3 to see where that building is, and you just go to it. And then someone's there or someone's not there, and you get more information. You go back to the theater, and you're like, okay, someone's there. And you go to that place, someone's not there. Go to the next place, and it just feels like this. It's a bit repetitive.
A little bit. I didn't even. It's
not
think
a
about
huge
that,
pacing issue for me. It's not huge, but it does feel that way.
Even when they would find like the person that wasn't there, there would still be something at that location that would like progress things along. And to me, that felt so minor, especially because day 2,
I'm not saying
Ellie
it's
is like
pointless.
one of my favorite parts of the game. Like the way that ends, that last bit of that game when she confronts Nora, their conversation, you know, beating her to death, and then the flashback with Joel and she finds out what he did. Like to me, that is like one of the best parts of the entire game. So I don't know. I didn't particularly have that issue. The only nitpick I have, and let's just get these out of the way because then we can start breaking down the plot and go through it.
Okay.
Is in Ellie Day 1.
Okay.
It's like a mini open world.
Yeah.
And like it is definitely the longest day. Like playing wise. If you go through and check the locations and do all that, it is the longest day to play through.
I missed some of the locations by accident.
Like that took me a good like 5-6 hours. Like it was a while in Day 1 because you did a lot, and then because remember you get up to the gate, the fuck Fedra gate, and then you have to. Then it's the open world, and you can explore and do all the locations in that area, and then you get through that gate, and then you're at the hotel, and then you get captured, and then you're at the school, and you kill them, but then you're still not done because then like you still. I think after that, then it's like the whole. Like rush to the hotel as for like not a hotel, movie theater for cover. It's like that's a long day, and my issue with that wasn't necessarily in the pacing, but just like it was a bit jarring because I went from the prologue of it being linear, but you can explore like the areas within the linear format, which is like the first one, but like a bigger scope. But then it opened up into an open world in like the proper Day 1. And I was like, oh, this is what the game's going to be. I don't really want this game to be that open world. No. And then after that, it just drops that. And I'm just like, then why have that at all?
No,
like when
I really like the open world. I really
I liked going through that stuff, and like the Take on Me stuff was great. And like the stuff they'd find was really good. But like, second time around, I'm probably not going to do all that stuff.
No,
like,
I will.
I'm probably just going to go through just because I did all of it, and it just felt weird because it's just like, here's this new thing, and we're not ever really going to have that ever again. Not even with Abby. So it was just a bit weird.
No, I like that mechanic. It gives like pause to like the first half. It ends with the first chapter with Joel dying. It ends with that, and it's like shocking, and you need this pause, and that moment gives you that pause. I never felt like it went on for too long. I'll tell you how I feel when I do it a second time, because I missed some parts. I missed like two.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And so I'll go through the whole thing again, and I really liked the mini open world section. I knew it wasn't going to be like permanent, that it was like that world that huge, but like, I liked it because it gave you like a moment of calm before the storm, after the storm. So before and after the storm, you get a moment to breathe. When you go through all these locations, your relationship with Dina flourishes, which I really like.
That's true.
I like all those small moments, like going to the mosque, all those little stores. You know, I like all.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, because Dina talked about how like she had Jewish heritage, and like that conversation was really good. That's the thing as well. Is like
about religion.
The even when it's not in cutscenes, like the dialogue and the acting and like characters are getting developed. Like
that's one of the best parts of the first game. That's the first game is all about those interactions. I think it's even better in this game though.
And like I think they've really fleshed that out really, really strongly.
Also, a criticism I've actually heard that I'll bring up. It's not mine, but I think it is actually a pretty valid criticism. And I think it's funny because I never even considered this. There are too many flashbacks. Not too many flashbacks, but too many flashbacks where like you're walking around the building and it's like the giraffe moment, but there's too many giraffe moments. Like the aquarium, the museum. There's a lot of those.
I don't think those are things. Those are things that you can compare to. I don't think those are things you can compare to the giraffe moment at all.
Yeah, you can. For me, the museum bit.
I don't think so because
it's the giraffe moment of this game. 100%.
Really,
100%. I've heard other people say it too.
I think this is a controversial opinion. The giraffe moment is very nice in the first Last of Us.
Fuck you.
But like, it's not. It doesn't have that much weight. It's just like. Wow, like Ellie's seeing something that's really beautiful and amazing in the world.
And she's gone through all this hell, and she finally gets a moment of beauty in this
but I think
world, and it's just the music swells up from Gustavo Santander. Can't say his last name.
But see, to me,
and
the flashbacks in this, the purpose of the flashbacks aren't that. So you can't compare it because different purposes and different meanings.
The museum
they are.
Some of the purpose of the museum flashback is exactly that.
See, now to me, the purpose of the museum flashback to me is like Joel is dead, but Ellie's remembering the moment where before their relationship was ruined, of her to look back and be like look at what he did for me, look how he cared for me before it got like diluted down. If anything, it's more of like the game, like the space sequence, where like it's all in her head and
museum.
Like yeah, but that sequence is more like Left Behind than anything in.
But it's still that whole thing. Yes, the purpose is what you said with Ellie and Joel.
I disagree with that.
Screw you. I agree.
Because the giraffe moment's great, but like it's not the best part of the first game. And people are like, oh, it's iconic. And I'm like,
it is iconic. Screw you, Ryan. Podcast over.
It's a great. It's okay. I'll do it myself. The analysis will be strong. So Joel, he dies, and man, Abby is a great character. Can't tell if you're still there or not. I'm not gonna lie. You are still there. You went on long enough where I was like, maybe.
You finally broke me by saying the giraffe part wasn't that good. Fuck you.
No, it's good. It is a very good moment. But like when people are like, oh, it's the moment I cried the most at and all that, I'm like, really?
The moment I cried the most at in part 2, it's so random. It's when you when you first
told me that, and I was like, did not have that reaction. I didn't.
When you first cut back to the museum bit, they're not even at the museum. They're like walking in the woods towards the museum.
Yeah, and they're like playing around and stuff.
Yeah, when it starts, and I just saw that you were young Ellie, like 15-year-old Ellie, and Joel, and it was this beautiful moment. I broke down. I broke down before anything could even happen. Like
let's start going through chronologically, because I can't even count the number of times I cried.
Let's chronologically. Let's count where we cried. Where I cried.
Yeah.
Where did I cry?
To me, it's like
time?
Fucking hell. When he's playing, for me, it was when he played Future Days on the guitar for her.
I cried immediately. Like, Future Days on the guitar.
Away.
Jesus
right away.
Christ, that broke me, man.
So that was the first bit, and then Joel dying was the second
iconic
time.
Already. That part is iconic.
That part's great. Iconic, I don't know, but it's great.
Iconic.
And it does make me cry, and it's a great song, and I listen to it all the time now. It's great.
They need to release a full Joel version, or I will riot in the streets.
That would be sick. That would be so good.
They need to release a full version of that song.
Let's talk a little bit about the prologue.
Yes.
So I love that this game opens with you replaying the parts of the ending of the first game.
You don't replay it, you re-see it. They don't let you
re-see it. Right. You re-see it.
You rewatch it.
And I love that, because the entirety of this game is about that. It's about Joel's consequences onto himself, how Ellie has to forgive him for that moment, and that Abby's own quest for revenge and redemption all comes from Joel's act. And I remember playing it for the second time around, and I'm like, Joel actually kills a lot of people, and like really brutally, and like I get where he's coming from, but like also like he was a straight up murderer. And I love that the game delves into that, and just like, yeah, from our perspective, because we understand Joel, what he did was right.
Yeah.
And that's the brilliant thing of it, because then Abby comes along later, and you're like, see, in her world, what she did to Joel was right. And that's the thing, is like, I love that the game starts out with that, and it's really simple. And you mentioned something to me of like, Joel, you play as Joel briefly, and it's just like the first game where like you play
as Sarah.
You play as a character who then gets killed off at the beginning of the prologue.
I have a nitpick. Ellie doesn't wear Sarah's watch after Joel dies.
I don't think she should.
Oh, I don't actually
because to me wearing that watch would show that like on some level she's forgiven Joel. I think
Joe, my favorite video game protagonist.
Shut up. And she's she's not ready yet. So I love that opening, and
Yeah,
that and
no,
that
and
scene
also
where like
it's Sarah's. It has to do with Joel and Sarah, and Ellie didn't really have to do anything directly
no,
with Sarah. But I still would have, even if it doesn't make sense, I would have forgiven it if she just or put on that. At the end of the game, she does wear his leather jacket when she leaves the farm. So I'm like, yes, that's good.
oh yeah, I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah. Also, wait,
but
before I forget this, the farm sequence at the end. After the farm sequence, I mean, in Santa Barbara. We'll get to that later, but she reminds me so much of Sarah Connor in that bit with the tank top and the hair shorter.
so true.
That's very Sarah Connor.
That is very Sarah Connor. Very good point.
Okay, cut back to reality.
And then Joel and Ellie, like what I thought, what made me cry in that scene was one, he's starting to fulfill her promise to her about teaching her the guitar, a carryover from the first game.
Yes,
but also
perfect.
the lyrics. Like the lyrics are actually so impactful because, like, yeah, like when you hit it off originally, it's just like, if I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. Absolutely, like obviously that applies to both characters.
That's when I started.
Like obviously, they're so did I. And what I love is like the part that really gets me when he's singing is
dude,
if I ever lose you, yeah. But like my favorite lyrics were after that. It's like, everything I found here, I've not found by myself. Try and sometimes you'll succeed to make this man of me. And this to me is the best part. All of my stolen missing parts, I've no need for anymore. Because Joel was never that brutal, terrible person. He became that through circumstances of his own. So that was the stolen parts that he appropriated to survive. And now that he's found Ellie again and finding his humanity, he doesn't need that anymore.
Yeah.
He's let go. He's softer. And like the fact that they found a song that in its opening, like in its opening lyrics, says so much about his character development from the first game. And it just, like, I got chills talking about it right now. Like, it's, to me, it's so
obvious,
moving.
but it works so well. This game has some of
it works
metaphors, symbolism, and whatnot that you can put
but
into
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it works. The guitar bit at the end when she lost her fingers, so obvious, but so
we'll
good.
Talk about that. It's so good.
Goddamn good.
It's so good. So that was the first moment where I was like, this game is going to crush me. Because like, even from that, before the brutality and the difficulties of like what the game ends up being, it's like, this is a sweet moment, but it's really hitting me hard. And I love that opening scene.
Yeah. Going forward a little bit.
Yes, moving forward.
So the opening scene, first of all, with the Future Days thing. I need to see the mocap footage of the actors doing it, because that will also just break me.
Yeah, I've seen a footage of Troy Baker on the guitar.
Yeah, I've seen that, but I want to see like a video of them doing that bit.
Yeah, man, of them actually acting it out.
So that bit was written years ago.
So much.
They performed it on stage once, like after the first game came out, as like as an epilogue, and they performed it on a stage at like an event that they held.
Wow, I didn't know that at all.
And so it's like
cool.
the first scene that was written for the game. It was years ago.
Yeah.
And they asked no one to film it. It was at like Comic-Con or something, some event like that.
Okay.
And it never leaked.
So
going forward a little bit, I think we should, first of all, before we get to Joel's death, I'd love to say that
there's definitely more I want to talk about in between that.
The opening of the game, with it has elements. It embraces the fact that Ellie's a teenager, and it embraces like almost not really, but coming of age.
She's 18.
That she's 19. She was
14 in the first game.
That the first game was a year.
At the end. Yeah. Plus her birthday flashback. Yeah.
Yeah. No. At the end of that game, I think she was 15, and I'm pretty sure they did say she was 19 in this.
Okay.
That makes me the same age as Ellie, so I will stand by the fact that she's 19. Also, she's gone much for a she's gone through so much for a 19-year-old.
She's been through a lot as a 14-year-old. Yeah. I love that as well. I like that they embrace those elements.
Which
as well.
It's even better because in the first game, she's reading through a girl's diary, and it's like, is this all they have to worry about? Like, what boy you're gonna kiss, and like what dress you're gonna wear? And at the start of this game, she's almost leading that life. Not exactly, but she's leading this life where it's like, it's different to the first game because she's been like cuddled by this community. It's like this nice small town. And so I was like so happy to see her living close to a normal life. You know?
Me too.
As close as you can get in this world. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I thought that was all so well done, and like, yeah, you do feel the normalcy, and like the design of Jackson and how lived in it feels, I thought was like a big strength.
Yep.
And I thought that was great.
You get the introduction of my boy Jesse, the most underdeveloped but best character out there.
I didn't like him at first, but then like,
fuck you.
I did come to really enjoy him.
I love Jesse. He was just so cool right off the bat. I was like, my man.
He was cool, but also like,
my man.
Yeah, there wasn't much to him.
No,
so,
there's not much to him, but he's still cool as hell.
Going from there, right, they go out on patrol, which, you know, isn't much. You know, you see the relationship with Dina and the fact that like, oh, they kissed the night before, and like, will they, won't they? Again, very teenage stuff, which I think is great, because like, it is reminding you that she is like, it is a coming of age story in some aspects for her.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's amazing, and like, I love that they opened it that way. And then you cut to Abby.
No. First, you get that bit where they find their friend's weed stash, and you get that scene between them.
Yeah,
that's a great scene. I love that scene.
It's a great scene. Great scene.
Really funny.
And then we cut to Abby. And then you're unsure of kind of what she's like, what's going on, who she is, who are these people. They're looking for something.
Oh wait, no, this happened then before the part I was talking about.
Right, and then you find out they're looking for somebody.
And I was like, that has to be Joel.
Not Ellie. Abby's very determined, right? Like she sees that Jackson's right there, and she tells Owen like, we need to go down there and get him, and he's against that, which again is a great setup to how later on it's revealed that their relationship, they used to be, you know,
I have some hot takes on the character of Owen as well. I have some criticisms.
But their relationship falls apart because of her obsession. Basically overwhelming desire and obsession to kill Joel. So I like that. That's a great little character setup. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, you're playing as Abby off the bat. And like, to me, that was the clue in, because like, so when it switched to Abby later, I wasn't surprised.
Oh my God, I was so surprised.
That wasn't a twist to me, because I was playing as her already. Plus, I already heard like Abby is a substantial character, so I was like, oh, I'll probably play as her.
I knew she was a substantial character, and then when she killed Joel, I was like, oh, that's why. And then,
to me, if you wanted it to be like a real twist, you should they shouldn't have had it have you play as her in the beginning.
To me, it was still a huge twist, because like, sure, you play for like 20 minutes as her, and I was like, oh, once she kills Joel, I'm like, that's to fuck you up, essentially. The fact that you played as this character, and you'll flesh out this character more later. But I did not expect that you play almost half the game as this person. That's what was shocking.
I wouldn't think that, but I was like, I'll definitely, like, we'll come back to her, because like, yes, I played as Joel, and going to the game, I knew 2 spoilers, which is that Ellie found out about the ending of the first game, and that Joel dies.
All I knew was that I thought maybe I knew I got it accidentally spoiled about the Joel death, but I wasn't sure what I saw when I saw it, because I clicked away really fast, and so I didn't really know. Like, I didn't really know. Even though I saw it, I made myself believe that like maybe I saw it, like I misread something, or that was a fake spoiler. So I didn't really know, and I had no idea that it would happen that early into the game. But what I did think, my expectation,
I knew it'd be early as well.
My expectation was 100% Dina dies in the prologue. 100%. That is what they foreshadowed in the trailer completely.
Before Joel,
marketing
before finding out that
completely
Joel
foreshadowed
died,
that.
I was like 100. Yeah. Before finding out about Joel died, I thought it would be the same.
That's also why I was confused that their relationship was so new at the start of the game. Because I'm like, if she goes on a huge revenge quest for this girl she had a one-night stand with, like, sure, it's heartbreaking, but like...
Well, also keep in mind, they've been friends for like 4 years.
Yeah, I know, it still would be justified, but I'm like, it doesn't have the emotional weight of Joel. You know?
Oh, absolutely not.
So absolutely I was like, it's an odd choice to not have them already be in a relationship for a while. But
yeah. So then
I had a friend of mine criticize the game because like their relationship was like developed too fast to the point like they're loving each other. I'm like, no, but also this is a universe where you would be drawn to people faster, I think.
You're drawn to people, but there's also time lapses.
Yeah, there are time lapses, but I mean
there are considerable time lapses.
There are considerable time lapses, but what I mean is that
and again,
anyway, in this world,
Ellie's probably been into Dina for years.
Yeah, no, she is. If you go back on the flashbacks and read the journal in the flashbacks,
I love her journal, man. I love that detail.
I've already seen people
good.
Start doing this, but if someone like on Etsy or something accurately recreates that journal, I will buy it. People have done that with Uncharted 4's journal. I will 100%.
I will 100% do that.
Money on that journal.
I would too.
People like start.
I wouldn't do that for Uncharted. I wouldn't do that for Uncharted.
No, I wouldn't do it for Uncharted. But Last of Us, totally. Her journal is better than any of the Uncharted journals. But
100%.
What I was going to say is that anyway, you're drawn to people faster in this world. They've known each other for years, and it's like in this world where like you get to barely spend time with anyone because everyone's dying around you. Of course, you're going to form relationships faster, especially when they've known each other for so long. And also, they spend weeks traveling together to get to Seattle. So that whole time,
that's because like Jackson to Seattle on horseback would take like a week.
Yeah, I think
it'd take a while.
2 weeks, I think.
Okay, 2 weeks.
I think they said that or something.
So then, after playing as Abby, which has a great like infected like kind of
when you're
action
running
sequence,
through it,
which is running through it and they're like collapsing on you and it's great, and then all of a sudden you run into Joel.
We need to move on.
Yeah, I know. So then you run into Joel and whatnot, and what I love is that when they bring Joel and Tommy back, man, there's a great feeling where your stomach just sinks. Yeah. Where they come in and they're all staring at him, and then like they say, "Oh, I'm Joel, I'm Tommy," and then Joel goes, or is it Joel or Tommy? One of them goes, "Y'all look like you've heard of us before."
It's Joel who says it.
My stomach just sank. And then out of nowhere, she just pops his leg off with the shotgun.
I just remember this by you saying it. When he gets shot with the shotgun, I was in disbelief that he was going to die in that moment until the very end. I was like, oh, he'll be injured, but he can get over the fact that he got his leg shot off. It's
to be
fine.
fair, I did too.
Yeah, I was like,
but as soon as Ellie walked in,
he'll be fine.
When Ellie walked in, I was like, nah.
And then I was like, it cuts to him all bloody on the floor. I'm like, is he gonna survive this? Like,
nah, he's gone.
Nah, when it cut back to them after him getting tortured, I was like, oh my god, he's not gonna make it.
Well, what I thought,
but up until that point, I was like, he'll make it out. He'll make it out.
What was so brutal is that when Ellie shows up, they pin her down and beat her, and they make her watch. And to me, that's why, like, I have heard the criticism of like Joel's death kind of happens out of nowhere and it's quick. So it doesn't have really an emotional impact.
No, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
I have two responses to that, which the first is like, even if you felt that way, there's no way you can feel that way by the end of the game, knowing the context and their history and flashbacks. And secondly, also, like, Ellie's reactions to it is what draws you in emotionally. And to me, that's why I was crying at that scene, because it wasn't just that Joel was dying, but the pleading. And especially knowing that final flashback of how they were going to reconnect, like when I play that again, it's going to even hit harder, because knowing that like she's watching the person she loves most in this world die, and she was just about to forgive him and just about to try to forgive him and to rebuild the relationship, and now it's being taken away from her again without her choice, which is mirroring what Joel did at the end of the first game. I know, man, I'm getting chills, and like, that directly mirrors what happened at the end of the first game. Is Ellie's sole purpose was to make all the lives that died for her and around her matter by being the cure. Then Joel took that away and she had nothing. And then she was starting to rebuild that back up. And then Abby took that away and all she had left was revenge. That is what filled that void for her. And to me, that's what's so emotional. And her acting, Ashley Johnson's acting, is so good, because
unbelievable in that scene.
She goes from absolute panic and fear and heartbreak to absolute anger and rage, and how she just like she's just like, please, 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 and then she doesn't, and just like feral like an animal. She's just like, I'm going to fucking kill every last one of you. It's so good. And like,
the other criticism of that scene
emotionally was brutal.
I really don't find valid at all. This is bad faith criticism. It's that the Joel that we know would not
I hate this argument so much.
The fact that he wouldn't go there,
so
and that
dumb.
He wouldn't trust those people. First of all, he trusted Sam and Henry after one of them pointed a gun at him, and he still trusted them. they were running away from clickers. So what do you want to do? Get bitten by infected or run in with these people who, on first glance, seem fine. And also, Tom is the one that gives away their names, not Joel. And most importantly, it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
This is not the same Joel who was on the run
Yeah,
forever.
he's
People
got
change. After 5 years being cuddled by a society that's pretty safe.
Yeah, he's gotten softer.
Yeah,
and
he's
like
older.
it makes sense because the whole first game is him regaining his humanity, and now that he's done it, he's a softer, kinder soul. He's not
a soy
the
boy.
brutal Joe we once knew.
He's a simp.
Yeah, he is a simp. But
he's a simp to his feelings.
I thought that was great. And then to me, I like that afterwards it wasn't just like you're in Seattle. You go through his home, you're at his grave, you have that conversation with Tommy, like, yeah, man, like checking out his watch, the photos with you and him, and the photos with him and Sarah, like Jinx, by the way, that lined up perfectly. But I think like all that stuff, like it is still letting you breathe in the confines of his death, even without all the shit that's coming later that's going to hit you harder. They still let you live in it, and I'm happy that they did, because I thought Joel dies, it's like what's going to start like the plot of the game, which means that once he dies, it'll just be she's on her quest and there's not like a moment to breathe, and they give you that moment to breathe, which I so appreciate.
Yeah,
and I thought was great.
And I think the day one bit that we've already covered quite substantially, the day one bit where you're walking around, that's giving you even more time to breathe, which I like. And then
I agree.
I think we should day one. We've covered most of it already.
So that's the yeah. So
there's
the only
thing, a lot of story stuff that happens in day one.
No, well, only at the very end.
At the very end.
The very end is when you find out Dina's actually pregnant.
Yeah.
And how that hits Ellie, and you see how that really bothers her. And I love that because Ellie's just lost someone that's super close to her. It bothers her. Why does it bother her? I can't remember. She says something mean to her. It bothers her
later.
Because she just no.
Oh, is it in that moment?
If you watch,
is it in that moment? She says, "I'm going to go to sleep," and it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
You're right. It is in that moment.
It's that scene. And you can tell she's upset because she just lost Joel, and she's like, well, at least I have Dina, right? Yeah. And the fact that Dina's pregnant with like someone else's child makes Ellie feel like shit. Like I am alone. Like Dina now isn't mine anymore. She's also Jesse's, and like her struggling with that was really I thought a profound moment.
I don't think her problem is the fact that she's pregnant with Jesse's child. I think it's the fact that this throws a wrench in her revenge plan. I don't think it has to do with
I see it as both. I think it really bothered her on an emotional level. Because she wouldn't attack Dina like that. She wouldn't like verbally be like kind of mean and assaultive just because it screwed up her plan.
Yeah, but her plan, no, it's not. It doesn't screw up her plan. It screws up her purpose, her new purpose in life. That they've been focused on. Going past that, I have criticisms that it's like they kind of write off Dina because she can't do much after that, which fair enough, but it pays off.
Still important to the story.
The male bit later.
Yeah.
So that pays off. And anyway,
so true.
You have to kind of write Dina out, especially for day two. There's a lot of stuff happens where Ellie needs to be on her own because she wouldn't be doing the things she does if Dina was looking over her shoulder.
Yeah.
She loses her humanity when
I agree.
She's not with Dina. So that is why it's important that they are separated. And I think I'm very happy that she's kind of out of the picture for a while. And anyway,
it's so important
with the Mel bit later.
And I remember texting you during, I think, day one or day two, but I was like, this is the marriage story of video games. And you laughed. And I was like, it is that, because it's like, it's people who have problems, and it's clear they have problems, but they're never actually going to talk about it until there's a blow-up scene later. And that's exactly what happened. Because you can tell, like,
a lot of drama
Dina comes, like, Dina has a problem.
I don't know if I agree with you about that, but okay.
I do, because Dina and Ellie both have things they want to say to each other that they never do, and then, like, they have a blow-up scene as a couple later. So anyways, but I like
best
that.
Couple of 2020.
Hell yeah. Well, not the way it ends, but I love that.
Jesus, don't remind me. Jesus, but my voice cracked.
But I love that they do separate her, because you're right. Like, it does, without her being there, it's like no holds barred for Ellie.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. We did talk about, so we already talked about the flashback of day one, which like was emotional for you. I thought was great, and that moment between them in the space shuttle, I thought was really beautiful, like genuinely a beautiful moment. And then even the way it ends, I love it. I loved, you know what I loved
the
about
liar
that?
bit.
The fact that it was beautiful and it was amazing. It was their relationship, but underneath all the love and what was between them is that underlying lie.
Also, it says
Ellie.
liars
and like,
on the wall with the firefly symbol.
Yeah, with the firefly logo.
I just had a lisp.
Fine.
So it says liars, and then Joel is standing in front of the S, I think. So it says liar, if I remember correctly. Good shit. So obvious, so effective.
I didn't even notice that.
If I remember that correctly, I might be wrong.
You actually just blown my mind live for everyone to see. So
it's apparently not as obvious as I just said it was, because I said that was very blatant.
I was so fixated.
I might be wrong.
Like,
I might be wrong about
emotionally.
That. I might be wrong about that.
So anyways, day 2, most of it is like, she finds, Jesse, and Jesse comes into the fold, which is cool, and there's some great elements of gameplay in day 2. Like that's when like dogs are introduced. Like dogs are such a great gameplay. Hillcrest
for me is the best gameplay level because of the
level design of day 2 is so.
I was
stellar.
Just crawling around one of the houses, taking out people. I've got the bow and arrow, which I love so much.
Yeah, the bow. I
can't wait to do
that was
New Game Plus
that
with the bow and arrow immediately.
Yeah, that was something I had a criticism with in the first game, was I didn't like when you aim with the bow. It's like a curved thing. It made aiming really imprecise, and the aiming reticle on this was so much better.
Also, you can get an aiming reticle that helps you with the distance. You can
it does do that. It's got those lines, and I love that. Anyways,
I can't wait to play New Game Plus with all the weapons already unlocked. Also, the fact that they give like wildly different weapons to Abby and Ellie makes their gameplay so much fun.
I love that so much. I think Abby's got the best gun in the game. That semi-auto rifle is the best gun in the game.
Also, at the end, Ellie's the silencer in Santa Barbara, the silencer like gun, automatic.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, and the fact that you can build silencers out of Coke bottles.
I love that.
Also, I know we weren't going to talk about
great gameplay,
but I'm sorry. The fact that you can break all the windows.
It's sick.
It's so, like even vending machines.
Yes, I was about to say vending machines or fridges in like storefronts to get like supplies. If
good.
You can miss that shit, but you just break and take. It's great.
So good. I can't wait for games in a couple of years on the PS5 and Xbox, whatever it's called. Because not only graphics are going to get better, but it's like
this is the best game I've ever seen.
How can it get better than this? Like, whatever.
It's going to get more detailed, lifelike,
but
and it's so seamless.
In terms of gameplay,
everything is so.
We're going to get better shit with the new systems. Like breaking windows and shit. That seems insane to us. But like you're going to have so much option. And in terms of the level design in this game, I felt like I was
level design. Good, man.
I had so many options because it was bigger.
If I died, I'd do something completely different.
Sometimes if I died on purpose because I wasted some bullets. And I just wanted to try a different option. Yeah. I was like,
see, that's something.
Kill me.
That's something I'm super excited to replay for. The replayability of that.
The replayability of this game is going to be
replaying
insane.
it because the story, you only get the full scope after finishing it. So playing the story second time through will be totally different.
I've heard great things about the New Game Plus.
The level design is so good that you'll play through the same level, but not the same way. And I'll approach it in a completely different manner.
Last of Us 1, you can only really play it one way, which is a problem.
Yes, in a sense, but it wasn't a problem we knew about until this game.
Yeah, it's so good that it makes the last one worse.
Actually, I think this makes the first game better.
Oh yeah, overall, it is better.
There are some gameplay things in this that are just better, and you're like, why didn't they just do this originally?
Well, I think it was so complicated on the PS3.
I want to talk about the end of Abby Day 2 because to me that was the first moment in the game where I'm like, this is hard.
Wait, we still have some stuff to cover.
Oh yeah, because I know, but for me, at the end of Day 2 did I say Abby or Ellie?
Abby. That's why I'm confused.
Oh no. End of Day 2 for Ellie.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Because when she gets to Nora, and like, I love that line from her. It's like, do you still hear his screams? Because I do. And like how she takes that in stride, and then like you feel that for Ellie because it's like the trauma of what she must be going through, and then like Nora twists the knife of just like, I'm glad we fucking did it. He got what he deserved. And then like, you know, they have that great chase, and I love when like they tumble down and like
into the red underground section.
into the red. Oh, we didn't even talk about day one when Dina finds out about Ellie's immunity. That's a great bit as well.
That's a great bit as well.
And I loved how like when she like again back to day two, Nora's like, you're immune, you're not coughing. And again, it's that whole idea that like Ellie's immunity is what defines her, but it's also what distances her from people around her, and it's what drives her. And the fact that that Joel took that away from her enrages her. And I love so much at the end of day two, when that red light aesthetic, when she's beating him, when she's beating Nora, and Nora goes, think of all the people that are dead because of him. And you realize, oh shit, they went after him because of the ending of the first game. Yeah. Joel's sins came back to bite him. That's the first revelation of that. And then when I'm
so stupid. I never even thought it was because of that, even though it should obviously be that.
It's very obviously that.
But I didn't even think of that. I was like, why did they kill Joel? I never even thought it was Fireflies.
No, when they came up with that, I was like, that's sick, brilliant, great storytelling. And even right now, just talking about it gives me chills. And this is what I mean by interactivity beyond just playing the game.
You feel like shit after playing that section.
You kill Nora just as much as Ellie does, because the game is forcing you to beat her from Nora's perspective as well, not from Ellie's perspective. It's a POV shot from Nora's perspective, which I think is an amazing choice, because you're looking up in Ellie in this lighting and you're just like, what have you become? What have I become? What am I complicit in now as a player? Like I'm forced to do this, which I think is a great thing.
But I love
that her rage. I just want to finish that one point, which is just like, I love that her rage isn't just at Nora, but in that moment, she's taking it out on Joel. Because you find right after that is that flashback where she finds out that Joel lied to her. And when you find that out, like for Ellie, when she's beating Nora, she's also taking a rage out on Joel because of what she did, as well as her anger that these people took him away from her at the point where she was finally willing to like let that go. And like the way that even thinking about that singular moment, knowing the full scope of the game, is amazing, because there's so much happening at once, and it's all so detailed, and it's brutal, and it's heartbreaking for Ellie, but you also don't like Ellie. And like to me that shook me. And then the cutscene afterwards with the flashback when she finds out, and she's just like, don't lie to me, I'll go back to Jackson no matter what, but just don't lie. And the reaction that Joel has of like he's struggling to get it out, and he gives her the absolute minimum like of what happened.
Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson act the
performances in that scene,
out of that scene when she's gasping for air.
That was my first like full body cry. Like my eye was like, it wasn't like tears, right?
I was in too much shock.
Like prior. It was like shock. I was like cradling myself. I was devastated at that moment, and it was partly because of like when she's gasping for air.
Yeah.
Oh, and I
little performance things like that where it's just like.
But I wonder if that was in the script. I wonder if that was direction, or I wonder if that was Johnson. But either way, whoever's call that was fantastic, absolutely.
She also does that later,
and like
when she kills Mel, the gasping for air.
But it's even worse there, and I love that because it ties those two moments together. Just absolute sorrow, rock bottom for her. Those moments for her are rock bottom.
Also, going back to the killing of Nora bit. This is not my criticism, but I've heard this criticism, and I know I'm bringing up a lot of like what other people are saying about the game. But I feel
but that's an important discourse to have around the game. 100%.
I've heard, and this is not. I've heard people have said this who I usually agree with on like a lot of things in terms of, and these people. I've heard criticism that like the game is making you feel bad for killing Nora, but they never give you the choice to kill Nora. They never give you the choice to kill Nora.
I don't think the game...
No, it's not making you feel bad for killing her. It's not like you did something wrong. It's Ellie did something wrong, and you're playing as Ellie. And that does affect you.
The game is making you a part of it.
But it's not your choice.
But it's not making you feel bad.
You feel bad. You should feel bad on behalf of Ellie. But not. I just said that badly. You shouldn't be feeling bad on behalf of Ellie, but you should be like this character that you're playing as and you enjoy playing as is doing
broken,
and they're broken.
You don't agree with.
You should feel sad for this character.
you should feel sad that she's gone down that road.
It's not you, the player, should feel bad at yourself for killing this person. Because no, they don't give you the choice. This is their story. This is Ellie's story. This is not the player's story. There's, I think, video games, in narrative video games, there's two options where the player, the main character is the player, or the video, or the, sorry, let me say that again. Where the player is the character, or where you're playing as that character. So there's a difference.
Yeah.
Wait, did I say that right?
Well,
I don't know, but you know what I mean.
No, yeah, and like I think that when that's what I meant earlier on is like
you're playing as the character. You aren't the.
You're playing as the character, right?
The player isn't the character. And this isn't like a Fallout situation where there's no voice dialogue and it's an RPG where you're role playing.
No, but you are still. That's why that to me is why this game is so special. Is you are not Ellie.
Yeah.
It is Ellie's story, right? You're not making choices.
Yeah.
The game's making choices for you. But as the player, you playing as Ellie, you are also Ellie. Yeah. And the game is forcing you to be her in those moments where she kills or chokes or beats people down. You are still her. It's just that it's not your choice to make, which I think is brilliant. I think it's great storytelling.
The criticism that the game is too dark, if that personally is a problem for you, fine. I think The Last of Us isn't a joyful thing.
There are darker stories.
Yeah, but I know there are people who are like, it's too grim and like depressing. Which, if that's your problem, fine.
Don't play it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's a bad game.
That's not an actual problem. That's just something you don't want to experience.
But that's fair. That's a fair problem to have.
Oh, really? I think when people complain about something's too dark, it's the same as people going, I don't like where this story went. It shouldn't be this dark. No.
If you say the story shouldn't have been this dark, then you're in the wrong, because that's where the story was naturally going to.
But isn't that what you're saying? If you're saying it is too dark?
No. It's too dark for me. If someone says that, it's fine. But that's not the fault of the game. Don't say the game is bad. The game. Yeah, no.
Yes, I agree.
But I think it's fair to say that you didn't like it, not because the story was bad or anything, just because you couldn't handle the grimness. Because right now we're living in a very dark time, and it wasn't for you. I think whatever, that's fair. Don't say it's the fault. It's not the fault of the game.
I agree with you. I agree with you fully.
I have heard people say that, like it was just too much right now with how depressing the world is.
Yeah,
play this depressing game, which fair enough. If that's your problem, that's your problem. It's not the game's problem.
Yeah. All right. Let's go through. Let's go through day 3, which to me there are two noticeable
day 3 when
aspects of day 3.
Introduce the Seraphites? Like, would you actually fight them? Or was that day 2? I can't remember.
No, that's day 2. Day 3 is when you're heading towards the aquarium. Oh yeah, when the first arrow came through, I jumped back. Like it was
And the whistling messes me out.
I love that. I love that so much. Again, like gameplay, it's just good. It's just great. But day 3, to me, there are two noticeable moments. The first is when they find out that Tommy's like basically in danger, and Jesse and Ellie have to make the decision of which way to go. Mm-hmm. And Ellie's basically like, no, she's so obsessed with getting Abby. She somehow believes that going after Abby means protecting Tommy. And Jesse's like, what have you become? And he like goes off on his own. He's like, good luck. I hope you make it. Because it's not on him, right?
My boy Jesse, he died too young.
He did. And I love that moment, because it's just like, it's a great, like, look how far down the rabbit hole Ellie's going. And you know, I like the gameplay of the boat and how you have to weave through like actually broken down buildings and like do stealth along with it. I think that's a great gameplay.
And you have to fight through a whole building.
Take out the Seraphites. Yeah, it's great. Like I think the gameplay on that solid is really great. And then I love the moment. And to me, I think, you know, I might be reading into it, but I think the moment where she gets, you know, she loses the boat and she has to swim in the storm is a character moment in and of itself, because her fear was water and swimming. She couldn't swim. And now she's overcome that, and to me she's pushing through that at the worst of like a storm could be in that kind of condition. It's just like she's pushing through her fears because she's so driven. And to me that says a lot about where she was at in terms of how far she was willing to go, which obviously leads into the next something I wanted to kind of encapsulate next, which was the killing of Owen and Mel.
Yes.
Because when she kills them, like, and you find out she was pregnant.
I remembered when you were
Dina.
fighting her that she was pregnant, because they mentioned that at the start. And so I was like, oh, this person's pregnant.
I thought about it briefly. Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure she's still pregnant. Like, and then like when like, it's so heartbreaking getting to know Owen and like where he wanted to go with his life.
I have some problems with the Owen character.
When he's dying and he's like she's pregnant, like that's his last gasp, is like, it's such a devastating moment for me. Like, it's so Owen, and like again the gasping of breath.
Character, but
I really liked Owen.
I really liked. Was all right. I thought he wasn't as great as some of the other characters. Because he's kind of a piece of shit. Like, he cheats on his pregnant girlfriend. And
he's not a good person, but I like.
I'm not saying that I don't like him because he's not a. I do like overall. No, I thought he was a good character, but like, I think compared to other characters, he wasn't as good. And he was performed by Patrick Fugit,
which is the main kid from Almost Famous, and the deputy in Gone Girl.
Yes, the one who's like my wife at one point.
Yeah. My wife. That sounds like Borat, but
that is Borat. I did a Borat joke. But he does say something about his wife. My wife thinks he did it. Yes.
My wife thinks he did it.
And then the other detective is like, we'll have to ask what's her face, like,
to come in and give us like a confession or something. But anyways,
good. So the girlfriend reviews video I sent you, where they analyzed Last of Us, compared Last of Us Part 2 to Gone Girl, actually. Switch in perspective.
I watched like one of our, like, I think both of our favorite film of this year, Palm Springs. It does that.
Palm Springs, baby. We'll talk about that eventually, maybe. But that's
such a recommendation. Like,
that is a
best film this year. People go see it.
Of a movie.
Or like, it is so good.
That movie is sticky.
So after that, they kind of regroup, and Tommy and Jesse come in, and you see how, like, Ellie's kind of reached her breaking point again of rock bottom, and she's like, we'll go home, we need to take care of Dina. But I love that it's too late for that.
Yeah.
Because Abby like comes into the theater, shoots Jesse like nothing, which is a massive shock. Yeah. And then she's like, I love that line. It's like, we let you live and you wasted it.
Yeah.
And you, like, I love that line, because in Abby's mind, she was like, she did the right thing by killing Joel, but it wasn't necessary to kill Tommy or Abby because they didn't do anything wrong in her eyes.
Yeah.
Why go after them? Why kill them? And now for Abby to be like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to, I'm like, because you killed my friends, like, and seeing that perspective, and that's why it works. So when you switch to Abby, and I remember you and I talked about this a lot. When you switch to Abby, you start with a flashback when she was around like Ellie's age. And,
also,
you
symbolism,
see her with her,
so goddamn obvious. The dad helping with Zebra.
Oh yeah, it's great though. Like, yeah, it is obvious
giraffe
symbolism, but
again,
I think that's the closest equivalent to one.
No,
because father-daughter moment over an
Museum
animal.
is way more of a giraffe moment. You're an idiot.
I disagree.
You're wrong. You're objectively wrong, Ryan.
Okay, then I am objectively wrong, Moses. You're right.
It's not objective.
Turn it back on you.
Right.
I know. I'm making fun of you now. But I thought that was a great flashback.
I need to say this now before I forget.
Yeah, sure.
The dad looks exactly like the actor Kyle Bornheimer. You've seen him before and stuff. He's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes, he does. I exactly thought of that too. I was like,
he looks exactly like Kyle Bornheimer.
He looks just like him.
He's Ted in Marriage Story. Speaking of Marriage Story, he's one of the lawyers who works with Ray Liotta.
Yeah, ever so briefly.
Yes. That's so funny.
So, anyways, so when you switch over and you see the relationship with your dad, you're like, oh, like, okay, like we're gonna start humanizing her, and then like you walk out of like a wooded area and you see the Firefly Hospital from the end of the first game, and you're like,
Oh,
oh no. You're like, you just know, and then
you
later,
know,
I
when they
love that
say
conversation.
he's the doctor, when they reveal he's the doctor, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, when they're having that, when Marlene and her dad are having that conversation, and then she comes in and is like, if it was me, I'd want you to do it. And I love that because it immediately is like, Abby is like Ellie in a way, because Ellie would fully give herself to it the same way that Abby would.
Yeah.
And like,
So,
I like, and I love that similarity. And then of course, here's what I love about the flashback. And
also,
this is why
this is an actual criticism. The character model for Marlene looks weird in this.
it looks different.
It's not that it's different. Yes, it's different. I don't have a problem if it's slightly different. It looks weird though. It looks like she's way older. Like there's way more detail in the face. Like to a fault. It's
yeah,
odd.
but Joel's the same. If you compare Joel's face from this game to that game, it's like those
but in the flashbacks, he looks fine. I have no problem with the redesign, the like, modern redesigns of the characters. Legit, I was like, this character model, it's strange looking. It doesn't look right compared to everybody else.
I've seen an image compared between the final shot of The Last of Us and how Ellie looks in this game.
Yeah.
Because of like the same moment.
Oh yeah.
They replayed it at the beginning, and it looks like watching it, I'm like, updated, fine. Side by side, you're like, that looks weird. Her eyes look weird. Like her nose looks weird. Like it doesn't look right in comparison.
No, but
so like to me, the updating character models.
No.
I didn't even think about that.
But it wasn't
I thought about Marlene the same way I thought about everyone else.
I have no problem with the update. I didn't compare the old Marlene to the new Marlene. It had nothing to do with the old design comparatively. It just looked odd to me. By the way, I just saw.
So, anyways,
Palm Springs has set Hulu's streaming record for biggest opening weekend. So our movies breaking records. Our favorite movie of 2020. Film. Kristen Milioti, Andy Samberg.
So good.
So good.
It's actually so good. So, anyways, what I think is so good is this was the So this is the fourth time I cried in the game, is when Abby's dad dies, because her reaction, her gasping, again, similar to Ellie. And again, it immediately it's like, oh shit, Joel kind of was a monster. So you're already immediately kind of seeing her perspective. And what I love about what they do next, and I think that this is such great storytelling, is they're like, oh yeah, you sympathize with her a bit. Yeah, you see like what she's gone through. Well, we're going to replay her killing Joel. We're going to revisit that. And that does to me two things, which is one, it's like, oh, now I kind of see Abby's perspective, but it's also digging the knife into the player, which is like,
they don't make you press a button to kill him though, right?
No. But it digs the knife into you in the sense that like it does. That would have been kind of sick, but
that would have been insane.
Like
if they make you
sick in a cool way, but also sick isn't like, that's kind of demented. But I think that it does make you like realign yourself with her, and you're like, oh, I see why she's doing it now. I get it. But at the same time, you're like, by showing this to me again, it's like Naughty Dog's like, oh yeah, you liked her. Now we're going to try even harder for you to hate her again, so that when we start the journey as you playing as her, you start from scratch again, which I actually thought was, in hindsight, a good thing. Because I remember when we talked about it, when they made that turn, I thought, because I suspected it was coming, so when it happened, that flashback, I'm like, off to a great start, like fucking great. But then the majority of day one, I was like, I don't know.
Day one is the hardest day to get through. I don't think it's purposely. Yeah, no, but I also don't think, like, I wonder how it would feel if you played this, if you started the game with day one and you see how it is. Also, I've seen people try and restructure the story, and every restructure I've seen of people that suggesting how it should play out doesn't work.
I've seen a couple.
It would bring so many pacing issues to the game.
Yep.
Like
the way it's structured,
it's it's the best way this could have been structured.
Some people say it's a bit messy, but then when you consider the fact that if they'd done it in any different way, it like the structure would have been fucked.
Yeah.
Like the way they did it, I think was great.
Well, so, this is the structure they chose is the best structure to tell the story. I've seen people say you should play day one Ellie and then day one Abby, day two Ellie, day two Abby, and it wouldn't have the same effect pacing wise. It would feel fucked. You'd be jumping in between.
I'd be interested to try that, but it
would not work. I've seen people say you play. This would not work for a lot of reasons, but you play the first half of the game as Abby, looking
No.
for Joel. But this would be a
Mm-mm.
complete restructure of how the story works.
Yeah, this would be a different game.
Yeah, you're looking for Joel, and then it cuts to Ellie. After you kill Joel halfway through the game, but you play the first half as Abby.
No, I think what they did was great. So,
but no,
I wasn't on board at first.
Me neither. I was mad. I played the first hour or so of day one. Abby.
I tried playing 5 minutes of it, and I was like, I'm gonna take a break from day 3 because you were like, after day 3, play some of Abby day 1, and I tried, but I was like, this feels too normal. They're trying, like, it feels, which is the point, but you're like, these people shouldn't be like chilling out with kids and having a good time and like eating food like it's nothing and hanging out with their parents and working out at the gym, and you're just like,
they show Abby works out at the gym.
This is really jarring. Like, it's not, something's not, right here. So I had to put it down and come back the next day and play all the way through part 1. And sure enough, through day 1. By the time I got to the end of day 1, I was hooked. And I got it. I understood what the game was going for. Because up until she gets captured by the Seraphites, I was like, this is all well and good, but like, it's not that. It's like, what are we doing here? As soon as she gets captured, and then like that whole sequence is so brutal. The breaking of Yara's arm, and like,
oh my god, the breaking of Yara's
through the
arm.
rain with running through the rain with the fire, and also the stalker. Like,
that whole section is incredible.
It's amazing.
Also, it's one shot. A lot of that is one shot.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the way that they handle it, I thought, to me, by the end of it, and then she gets to Owen, and Owen's like, I'm just tired. I want to be better. We came here because the Fireflies were disbanded and we needed somewhere to go, and we adopted to the world around us, Joel. But this isn't us. This isn't what we believed in or we were getting into. And what we did in Jackson is the height of that. I do like that part of
Owen's character, the retired old man.
Yeah, it made us, that is the epitome of what the last few years have done to us, and I don't like it. I'm tired of it. And that's the first time you see Abby do the same, is like, after killing Joel. And I love that they have these like dreams with her dad, and like the way that, like, at the end she finds peace. The first dream is like her seeing like the kids hung in the hospital, and like kind of the parallel between like she doesn't want to happen to what happened to her dad to happen to these people. And like, that whole conversation to me was the first time with Abby I was like, yes, parts of you are like Abby, but the part are like Ellie, but the parts of you that are different are actually the parts of you that are like Joel. And you see how her story is, she was Ellie, and now she's becoming the Joel type character. And I think that's brilliant storytelling.
But also in terms of the revenge plot there and the themes going on there, she's on the same course as Ellie, but advanced. She's already killed the person she's going
past
against.
It. Yes.
Yeah, and so
which is great, because it shows the fallout of what Ellie is working towards.
Yeah.
So there's to me there's one big reason why playing as Abby works, which I want to talk about when we get to the end.
Yara and Lev.
Day 1 is great. Day 2 is even better.
Day 2 is
with
incredible.
Yara, because Yara, they're trying to fix up Yara. Owen and Mel are like, what are you doing? But like, you're trying to be somewhat decent, I guess, will help. I love day 2 because day 2 is like, there's that great like air bridge sequence, and I love my favorite
if you look down, there's the vertigo effect as well in that sequence.
My favorite non-cutscene dialogue is in the elevator going up, and what Lev says to Abby about fear and how that makes people stronger and how to overcome fear. And like, to me that's such an important part of the narrative of the game, the characters. I love that. So I love the air bridge sequence is great. The whole weird messed up, I like that it's like ground zero in the bottom of the hospital, and there's that fucked up mutated, and that's a great sequence to run through.
Terrifying.
It's great. Yeah, it's so good. In terms of like story and character though, I can't remember if there's not a whole lot there. I mean,
what's happening is the Lev and Abby Joel Ellie thing. The whole that's the point of day 2.
Yes.
It's off.
That's the point of day 2 is a younger companion restoring your humanity. That aspect of it.
That sounds like a PS3 game that came out in 2013. I'm trying to remember what it's called.
It's funny when I remember I texted you and I was like, I get it.
Yeah, when you realized it.
It's Joel and Ellie. I see the point. And you're like, yes, you get it.
Yeah, I was so happy.
Yeah, like
You
you
picked up on that
tacked on. I'm
quickly.
like,
But also,
yeah.
I was really, there were multiple times throughout the game where I was like, I got it. I get what the game's going for. You do not get what the game is going for until the very last scene.
I 100% agree.
Which is the same as the last game. Because yes, it's about restoring the humanity of this
but it's about the cost of,
but it's
the cost
with the cost of love.
Yes.
And you only get that at the end.
It's gonna make me start crying.
Are we simping for Neil Druckmann again?
I would. Fuck yeah.
Neil Druckmann.
Abby's flashbacks are quite interesting because the first one is similar to the Ellie Joel one because it's all nice and peachy, but it ends on the fact that like she can't let go. Like her and Owen like start kissing, but then it's like it's that drive of you like I'm losing someone I love because I have to go through with this, which parallels Ellie, and that's what Ellie goes through. And like, you know, you only really see that towards the end, and I like that parallel and what that means for Abby and even Owen, because Owen doesn't really love Mel. He kind of just settled for Mel because he didn't end up with Abby, which is why when they had sex, which was a bit weird. I never seen like a full-blown sex scene like that in a video game, but like it made sense for the characters. You know, it was very raw.
There are a lot of video games that have sex and stuff that I don't really have any particular thoughts on. That sex scene, I think it could have been left out of the game, and it wouldn't have changed much. But it
didn't go on very long. It wasn't gratuitous.
No. But I wasn't like, this game is ruined because it has a sex scene.
No, me neither. No, I don't think that at all. It's not even a nitpick. It's just interesting.
It's interesting. Exactly. It's an interesting choice to do.
It is. So day 2, I can't remember where day 2 ends actually with Abby.
Thank God they didn't do a sex scene with Ellie and Dina.
I remember.
That would have been weird.
That would have definitely been, I think, gratuitous. But
no, not just that. It's weird because of the relationship between the player and the character of Ellie.
True.
There is a very paternal relationship that the player has with Ellie if they've played Last of Us 1.
Yeah.
So that's why it's weird.
So in day 2, I really liked how it was like Abby's first like basically turn in with the WLF and kind of breaking from that faction. Day 2, other than that, like get back, fix the surgery, not a whole lot else after that. Day 3 though,
fucking hell, day 3 action packed,
filled to the
roller coaster,
action packed, great character moments.
Jeffrey
Wright. Off the bat, oh, so good. Off the bat, there are 2 things I was like, great storytelling. One, Mel's conversation with Abby, because it's like, as we've gotten to know Abby and like see her in the Joel role and understand why she went after Joel and all that, you're like, that the emotional attachment is now there.
Oh yeah,
it's there.
By day 2,
but then the game reminds you, Mel reminds you, Abby, you're not a good person. You're a bad person.
But neither was Joel.
Neither was Joel. And I love that because
Tess
like
literally tells them we're bad people.
Yeah, and I like how like Abby has to have that down to earth moment again. Like, I'm doing something good, but I haven't atoned yet for what I've done. Yeah. I haven't. And I love this. And then after that, it's okay. Lev runs off to go to his mom to basically take care of her. But the mom's actually like one of the most like devoted cultists of the Seraphites.
And she's a transphobe.
So here's what I love about.
She's the J.K. Rowling of the universe.
Oh, shit, yeah.
So
fucking J.K. Rowling.
Transphobic.
So here's the thing
in a religious cult. Which, by the way, you said I hope they develop them further once they were introduced. You tested me that, and I think they gave enough development to all of them because you actually get to go to the island. You get to see. You get to play with some of them. Also, what I thought was really interesting, they aren't like Lev and Yara aren't like, fuck this religion. We're not religious anymore. We're atheists. False God. They're like, nah. No. They misunderstood the text. We're actually still religious. We believe in this person.
People misunderstanding the text. I wonder.
What text are you talking about?
I wonder where that's coming into play.
I wonder what you're talking
about. But what I love is actually the similarity between Lev and Ellie now, because Lev shaved his head.
Love.
And he you know didn't feel comfortable in like the girl body he was in, and he identifies himself as a man, and cut his hair for that reason. and all that stuff. That is his definable trait, in the same way that like that he can't change about himself, the same way that Ellie can't choose or change the fact that she's infected.
Yeah.
And they both characters at that age want to run back to the person who's inevitably going to hurt and kill them.
Yep.
And it's up to us, Abby, Joel, to save them.
Yep.
And I thought that was an excellent parallel. But in that space, you actually, I love that it wasn't just Abby going off. You got to have time with Yara, which was so important, because
that conversation they have at the aquarium, where they do reveal that she is in fact Lev is in fact transgender.
But not overtly, and it's like, and that's the thing.
No, it's not
come
overt.
At this game for being like, oh, it's SJW and all that. It's like nothing in this game is preachy. Not even the relationship with Dina. That's not. It just is.
Yeah.
It's not preachy. It's not pushing an agenda. It just is there.
It's reality.
Like, I would like. I know you think that all art's political, but like I have issues with films or art in general. I have an issue with art or film where thanks.
I get very aggressive with this subject.
I know, but which I agree with to an extent, but I take issue when films are things are entirely political, and like it is clear that they're pushing agendas. This is not that. This is not that. And people thinking that this is that is people looking for reasons to hate the game because of story decisions. So they're just choosing to target and attack like the easiest things, which for bigots, that's what they're doing. They went, I don't like the story you told, so instead of having a valid criticism,
oh my god, I don't
like it, I'm just going to be like, you're pushing, a lesbian relationship. No, they're not. You're pushing transgender characters on us. No, you're not. They're part of the world in the story, and it fits. It feels natural. So I don't understand why that was. And that's what I mean. I haven't heard valid criticisms until you brought up the pacing, because a lot of it was that it just garbage, and people just choosing to live in ignorance and do that. And I think it's horrible in general.
I saw the funniest thing in the world. Someone was like talking about the bigot who you get introduced to at the start, who called Ellie and Dina a homophobic slur. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Sorry for me repeating that is offensive. I hope I didn't.
I don't know. I just didn't say it.
Sorry. Just repeating a line. I apologize.
Yeah. I don't know if. Yeah.
That is an offensive term. 100%.
Yeah. No. And people were like, "Well, I think Ellie was being a bit too mean. He did make her a sandwich." No. They were like, "Well, he did apologize and make her a sandwich, so I don't know why she's being so mean to him."
Well, she's being mean to him because
he called her a slur.
Yeah, it's like you can apologize, but it's not like you let it go. That like maybe if none of that shit happened with Joel and him dying, and they'd stayed in Jackson, maybe over time she'd be like, "All right, you apologized. Didn't happen again."
Oh my god! I just saw the most insane criticism of this game. We really need to.
It's not like day after. Yeah. So I mean, we're nearing the end.
Yeah.
So, but I love on the island when you get to Lev and you see that he's killed her. He's killed his mom, and like Yara going in to comfort him. I thought that was a really like powerful moment, because Ellie, like, to me, I saw that as a parallel to kind of Joel's death, because Ellie's like kind of left there in the wake of it, and the same way that Dina comes in and helps her is the same way that like Yara comes in and helps Lev. And like I thought that distinction between Ellie and Lev was very distinct. Went back to someone that was inevitably going to hurt them and kill them. That person gets killed off, so on and so forth. The moment this game for me became elevated, and I was like, this is one of the greatest things I ever played, was when the WLF ambush Yara and they shoot her, and then Yara saves Abby and Ellie's life. Abby and Lev's life from Jeffrey Wright, from Isaac's character. And to me, that moment
didn't really
for me,
develop Isaac a lot, which was I would have liked a little bit more. What else?
To me, it wasn't fully necessary, just because there's so much to do. But to me, I was crying because like Yara died and like her self-sacrifice, but also like it turned into an action sequence. So it was like this really weird feeling. Like I was crying, but also like it was really exciting to play through, especially because then after that, just a whirlwind of like riding through the town and everything's on fire. And I love that because, like, yes, it's an action sequence, but I've heard the criticism that, oh, like, it's a bit over the top to, like, revel in the carnage of people burning and people, like, to me, that, like, her going through that is, like, the fruition and, like, this is what violence in this world comes to when people make certain decisions and, like, when people aren't understanding of the other side. Isaac never tried to understand the Seraphites. So this is what's come of it. And again, the idea of empathy and understanding and forgiveness, this is what happens when those things don't happen. So I thought that was actually a powerful part. And like, you've got that sick fight with the Seraphite at the end where you like open his mouth up and like, that's a cool boss fight kind of.
Oh yeah. With the Miss Trunchbull, the Matilda looking ass.
Miss Trunchbull, yeah.
Ralph Fiennes is going to play Miss Trunchbull, by the way. Did you know that? And they're doing a Matilda.
Yeah, you told me that.
I saw the musical on Broadway a couple of years ago when I was in New York. So good musical. Can't wait to see if it works in live action because I love
the movie
the 90s Matilda film. It holds up. I watched it.
I can't believe Danny DeVito made that film.
That's why all the shots
that blows my mind.
That's why all the shots are. Sorry, there's someone. Someone's mowing the grass in the garden. That's why all the shots in Matilda are from the perspective of someone at the bottom.
I knew you were going to say
Danny DeVito shooting from the top. He's the cinematographer.
Pretty sure
the director has to hold.
Danny DeVito is Alfonso Cuarón. He also does the cinematography for his films. Anyways,
he's an auteur. That movie has a style.
I believe it. I think every director's an auteur. Everybody's got their own distinct authorship voice. So like, even if their films aren't good,
I have some hot.
It's like Michael Bay. Michael Bay is an auteur.
I have some hot.
Whether you like it or not.
I'm not disagreeing. I have some hot takes on the auteur theory, and I think we can actually do a really good episode on that because I wrote a very good essay in my first year of university that I'm quite proud of, and I wrote one too,
but it wasn't very good.
I read.
Yeah, you did a lot better than I did.
I read so many 1950s, 1940 essays on the principles of the and I was like, I read all the different perspectives, and it was really interesting.
Next level Kino understanding.
Kino, like the Kino Galaxy Brain, because I read Alexandre Astruc. But anyways, going back to The Last of Us Part 2, what I would like to say about that bit, I loved every part of that. The Miss Trunchbull fight is sick. I also love that similar fight in Day 2 when you have to do it with your hands. The gameplay as Abby is incredible because you feel just like a beast punching compared to Ellie, who's much weaker and stealthy.
Even the way that they fight is different.
Yeah, I know. It's fantastic.
It's so good.
Such a breath of fresh air.
And then after this comes, to me, my second full body cry, which is when Abby gets back to the aquarium.
And they're all dead. And
they're dead.
You didn't even talk about the dog. You kill the dog, and then they make you play fetch with it in the Abby section.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Brutal.
That's fucked up.
I'm not a dog person, but that's fucked.
I'm a dog person. It did make me uncomfortable. Like, not against the game, but just for me, I was just like, killing dogs.
I didn't feel the uncomfortableness because the dogs are attacking you, so of course you have to kill them. I didn't feel
they were mean, and including they had a little whimper every time. No.
Also,
why are you doing that?
If you kill the owner before the dog, they whimper because their owner's dead.
I picked up on. And I thought, the dog's not going to attack me, but then the dog still attacked me, and I was like, fuck.
That's brutal. The scent, actually, the gameplay was the scent thing that they introduced with the dogs, where you have to.
I love that so much.
It never came into play with me. They never were checking my scent.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, they did it a lot for me.
It only happened like twice. I never had to.
I was always on my toes. I thought it was great.
I rarely had to deal with that.
But back to reality. When she gets back to the aquarium and sees Mel, like, she's upset. But when she goes over to his body, to Owen's, and just like, it's a similar kind of devastating cry from her, and it's a similar thing to when Ellie lost Joel. It's like, we were just about to have this future together in some capacity or another. The future was out there. It was on the horizon. We were coming back.
Well, there's a future already because there was a baby who was meant to be born, and that child did not get born.
Yeah, but like
that
for
child
Abby,
is
that's
dead.
But for Abby,
No,
that's not
she
as
still
important.
cares. She still cares about Mel, and she
She
clearly
still
should care
cares,
for the
but not
baby.
Owen.
Also, by
Because
the way,
Mhm.
they would have never let Mel out to do a patrol mission in day one. For
No.
Abby day one, that would have never happened. Especially because she was a doctor, so why is she going on a patrol? Doesn't matter. That's a nitpick.
But so to me that was the second time where I was like creasing over like in tears just because like I've come to understand and I've come to understand Ellie, and I've come to Abby, and empathize with her, and I've gone on this journey, and I've let myself forget what happens to them. I let myself forget, and you come back to that, and you're just like, Ellie is a fucking monster. The same way that when you first meet Abby, you're like, Abby's a fucking monster.
Okay, I think we should go.
Points converge, and like shit is like. Before I know we.
Can you not hear that? No. Weird. It's really loud.
I can't hear it.
That's strange.
Just in general, before I just we're coming upon the ending here, which is a lot to talk about. But before that, I think that the fight between Abby and Ellie in the theater, where the points converge from that halfway point, where you cut off from Ellie and you start playing Abby, and you get back into that perspective. That fight for me was the most difficult part of the game because
it's rough, especially when she's playing.
I both liked and hated both characters, but I didn't want to hurt.
Any
Ellie.
of them. But also,
and every time I got
Ellie
closer to her,
using all her traps on you is so mean. I was like, God damn it!
When she started doing that, I'm like, I'm not that smart when I play with Ellie.
Yeah,
I don't use traps like that.
I almost never used the smoke bombs.
I used the traps when I was fighting infected, but never people.
I use the traps a lot. I love the traps. But
traps were great gameplay.
I almost never used the smoke bombs. I also the equivalent to the smoke bombs in the first game. I never used it.
Yeah.
I always forgot and didn't find it that helpful.
So that fight for me, and again, another moment of player interactivity. You have no choice.
Yeah.
Like, you have to attack her. And at times, there's one moment I thought, I'm going to kill Ellie. When she is choking her out and the game's forcing you to do that. It's like, am I going to kill literally the main character? So when that happened, I genuinely, when her eyes were rolling back, I'm like, oh my God. And then Dina comes in, and this was another bit where nothing sad happened, but this was my third full body cry, when she puts the knife to Dina's throat, and Ellie's like, no, wait, she's pregnant. And when Abby says good, I lost it. I thought for sure it's like she was going to kill Dina. That would be it. And like that is the cycle of violence and the brutality. But I love, and I'm glad that they didn't, because it's so much more impactful when Lev goes, Abby, like, I think she just says Abby.
Yeah.
And Abby looks up at her and realizes that this cycle, this violence, it's not worth it. What she's found with Lev, and what she's refound with her humanity, is so much more important than killing Dina just to get the satisfaction over Ellie. It's not worth it.
Lev is a fantastic character, and by the way, the actor who played Lev, he is also transgender.
I figured. It doesn't seem like the game, how serious this game treats every issue it tackles. It would be weird if they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really like touching and beautiful moment for Abby, because in that moment you're like, you don't like her for making that threat on Dina, but at the same time that humanity shines through, and she's broken her own cycle of violence the same way Joel did. That is the power of that moment, and I love that. Mm-hmm. And then you cut ahead to about a year from then, and Ellie and Dina are on a farm, and their baby's born, whose name is JJ, for Joel and Jesse. Or
people have theorized that it's Joel Jr. or Jesse Jr., but it's I think he didn't say it, but Neil Druckmann basically confirmed that it's Jesse Joel or Joel Jesse.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And at first I was like,
end of the game.
Yeah, genuinely, because remember when I was playing through Abby, I was like, look, this is all fantastic, but it's all about how they stick the landing.
Yeah.
Especially with Ellie.
I told you, they stick the landing so hard.
They do. And because throughout the game, what I was loving about it was Ellie's descent into brutality and vengeance. And then they cut to this, and I was like, so she just gave up? The game's gonna end? Like, what? Like, and at first I was like, it's cool, because, like, you know, you're seeing them be happy. It is very emotional. And, like, the stuff with the baby, to me, the closest moment to a giraffe moment in this game is when she's sitting with JJ on the tractor in the sun setting, and she's, like, talking to him. She's like, I've got some stories for you, you know, when you get older. To me, that's the closest equivalent, just saying.
Fuck you.
But again,
my thoughts on the farm sequence.
Every moment of doubt, it ended up paying off.
Yeah, same.
It ended up paying off.
I was less doubtful than you. I'm not. Yeah, maybe they should have tied some loose ends, but, like, I was like, I justified her not going after Abby again by being like, oh, she realized that she doesn't want to kill her because the cost it takes on her friends, and, like, everyone died, and, like, when she came back, she was ready to give up anyway. Like, she was done, and her life was spared, so she's fine. And so I was justifying it for myself, and I was just so aggressively happy to see Ellie and Dina happy together on this farm.
Seeing them happy did also, like, did make me happy, and, like,
Yes.
that was something I enjoyed. Of, like,
I love
so
my
nice.
lesbian moms. That whole
and then dancing together at the you know, in the kitchen while Dina's doing dishes, just so
makes
good.
me bawl my eyes out as well. That and Future Days.
I haven't listened to it since Future Days. I can't listen to without crying.
That song
for
as
me,
well. There's two songs because it transitions from one song to the next. I'm gonna buy that song on that record on vinyl for my
vinyl.
But that sequence is heartbreaking.
When she leaves, not even that yet. To me, when Ellie gets the PTSD and that comes back for her, it's like, yeah, she partially moved on. She's happy with the life she's in, but she never had closure, and that's what's important. It's not. It's not about getting her revenge. It's about closure about Joel.
For so long.
I know, we're almost there, but, like, we've never tackled something of this length, 30 hours, right?
Yeah.
We've never done that. So it makes sense to be a bit longer. But anyways.
A lot of it is gameplay.
It is. So to me, that's what that moment told me of, like, yes, it's a revenge game, this and that, but getting revenge isn't for the satisfaction. She needs the closure with Joel because she never got closure with him, right? It's not about his death. And that's why I think the game's brilliant, because it's really all about it's all about her forgiving him. And you see that. Full body cry number 4. When Dina and Ellie are having that conversation to leave. That broke me. Because that is the conversation.
The line Dina has, she doesn't get to be more important
more important than us.
Or important than this or important.
It's she doesn't get to be more important than us. That chills. Literally chills right now. Chills. Like, it's so heartbreaking.
The performance from Shannon Woodward, incredible.
So good.
So, and the desperation in her voice in that moment.
It's painful. And they set up the fact that Dina's not fully approving. Dina's worried. Dina is this and that. This is the moment where Dina gets to speak out and be like, it's not, like, this has to be enough for you.
Yeah.
Like, we've been through this. It's hurt and killed so many people on both sides. It's not worth it. That
scene with Tommy, I was like, no.
So
Ellie,
good.
don't fucking do it. Ellie, don't do it. And I was
mad at she would.
I was mad at the game when she left.
I was happy because I was like, this is what I wanted. I wanted more of this story before all closed out.
Because I was like, but she needs to be happy.
She does. And, like, that's what's so heartbreaking is she is happy, but she also can't let it go. And that's the devastation of that moment. And I love that.
Happy until she lets it go, though.
Right. And that's great. After that, before continuing as Ellie, you actually pick up as Abby again. In Santa Barbara.
Very briefly.
Very briefly, not much,
I forgot
finds the Firefly thing. She, a little bit of hope comes back to her that she's going to go after Fireflies.
That was heartbreaking.
And then
to have that pulled under her.
pulled under her and gets captured, and you don't see her. You don't know what's going on. Then you pick up as Ellie again on the sailboat. That was once Owen's that, they took down the coast. And starts
looking
off
like
finding
Sarah
her.
Connor.
Right. And then she gets trapped, wounded, and then brutally murders, those scavengers around the area. I would have liked a little bit more fleshing out as to who they were and what was going on.
I have
other
no
than just
problem with the development of
I
that.
would just like a little bit more, because they had slaves and all this stuff. I'm like, whoa, this is a totally new element to the world we've never seen before. I'd like to see more of this.
I did not need more.
Just I want a little bit more. But not too much,
by the way,
a little bit.
when Ellie gets captured at one point and then breaks free, and then tortures the guy. There's like the big dude and his sidekick who like almost gets bit and she makes fun of him. That guy,
Ellie gets bit again.
Yeah.
I love that detail. She gets bit again.
Yeah. Which is scary because like, what if the immunity doesn't work a second time?
Right. To me, it was such a small character poignant moment of her getting bit again. It's like,
but
it's all about her immunity again. It's all about that.
The other guy in that sequence who almost gets bit, the smaller guy, apparently is played by Logic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't know why, but it's Logic.
Fair enough. So what comes next is, you play. So after that, Ellie goes through, and then
it kind of feels like an '80s action movie.
It does a little bit.
Arnold Schwarzenegger saving his daughter, commando style.
It was less
through an enemy base.
See, to me, that was less action driven than the ending of the first game. It was like, to me, the ending of the first game was like shoot. And the ending of this one is like, you can do stealth. You can still do stealth.
Oh yeah,
although,
I love the stealth in this game.
Even at the very end, great gameplay mechanics to have having infected as watchdogs basically, and if they see you, you're fucked.
No, you can let them go.
Like, oh, can you?
Oh, you didn't do that?
I didn't try that. I snuck around them. I didn't want them to see me because I'm like all those set up.
No.
Because I let them see me, and then the humans came after me. I was like,
no.
fuck! Oh, I didn't know that.
What you could do is you can let them loose, and they run after them.
So cool, man.
Idiot.
I love that. God damn.
You got a small brain.
And here we go. The ending. So the first thing is, and this relates back to Abby.
Yeah.
Ellie finds Abby on a post, left to die, and you don't recognize her.
No.
Sorry, there's a siren in the background. You don't.
They heard your mixtape.
And they, it's fire. Very good. To me, the criticism of Abby's like physique.
Don't even
mind blowing.
Don't even bring it up. Don't even bring it up.
It's character driven.
Yeah, no. I don't think we even need to bring that up. It's so stupid of a criticism.
Nah, but
that's bad faith criticism to justify your weird sexism.
I won't bring up the criticism.
What women can't be muscly.
I think what it does for the game is like she got so beefed up because all she was obsessed with was killing Joel. That's her drive.
At the end, she's starved.
And then at the end, when she's let go, she's starved because she's let go of that anger and that hate.
That's the symbolic reason, but of course she's also been starved.
Right. Well,
doesn't have a gym.
Right. But like that's what I mean is even in the character designs, there's fucking character development.
Yeah.
I
did not recognize her at the end on Santa Barbara. I was like, who's this?
I didn't either. When they brought her down, I'm like, why is Ellie cutting down this random person? And I was like, oh shit.
No, I thought I forgot an important character from earlier in the game, and I'm like, who is this? I forgot who this is.
To be honest, I thought Ellie was just going to cut everyone down till she found Abby, but there she was. Anyways, and then the ending really ties everything together because they free her. Ellie frees Abby and Lev, takes them down to the boat, gives them a brief bit of hope, and then Ellie's like, we're going to fight. We're going to do this. And Abby refuses because she doesn't have that hate in her heart anymore.
Oh, and it's not just about, for Ellie, it's not just about killing Abby. It's about having the choice to fight her, which is what happened last week. She didn't have the choice to win or give up. It was taken away from her when Abby
She's never had a choice.
Yeah, she's never had a choice.
Her whole life, she's never had choice in her life. Her infection, Joel's decision, Joel's death, Dina's pregnancy,
all of this, she
Like,
hasn't had a choice, and the finale is all about forgiveness and
her
finally
choices.
having a choice. And then,
Yes.
and then,
And I love that because
she could have shot Abby.
Before moving to that,
no, she could have shot Abby.
No, I know, but the small detail of threatening Lev
Yeah,
to get to Abby.
I'm talking about before this, dude. She could have shot Abby on the cross.
She could have. Yeah.
Forward. I'm backtracking.
Oh, okay, yeah. You're backtracking. Okay.
Before she could have slow her down.
No, she definitely 100%.
She wanted a fist fight.
She wanted it to mean something.
Yep.
And
which is what she wants her life to mean something.
Because Joel took that meaning away from her, and she never gotten over it. And when she puts the knife to Lev's throat, essentially she's doing what the Fireflies did to Joel, which is, you're gonna hurt the person I love and only care about. And I and Abby's forced to fight. And that fight is so brutal because Abby's come back. She's had a redemption story. You understand, you sympathize with her. And yet you're playing as Ellie now, who isn't that character for you anymore. Yeah. So you're conflicted playing as her. But again, the interactivity of it's forcing you to beat down on someone you don't want to beat down on.
Yeah.
And it's because she can't let it go, because as she's going to get in the boat, she has another flash of Joel's caved in face.
Oh.
And I love that during the fight, she has that image, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that porch scene, because that is like, yeah. But she sees an image of him from that, and you realize this is why you played as Abby. You played as Abby because you play as Abby to see the connections between Joel and Ellie and Abby and Lev, and you get to that point, and Ellie understands the same thing you do, which is she understands what Joel did. Abby was willing to die and commit and do these things to protect the one she loved. Joel did the same thing, and it's in that moment of killing her, of almost murdering her, that Ellie has that revelation of, I understand now. And that's what's brilliant. Us as players have come to understand Abby, and in this moment, Ellie understands her as we do. And by understanding her, she understands Joel, and in turn forgives him. That's the moment she forgives him through Abby. And by doing so, she lets her go. That is why the ending is so powerful. It's like, I hate the criticism. That people are like, she should have killed Abby. Because that does nothing. That doesn't prove any point. Yeah. Seeing that she lets Abby go, and in turn forgives Joel, and now you understand what the whole point of the game has been, why you played for Abby for 10 hours. Yep. And where it's been building towards is, yes, Abby had her story, it was great and all that, but it's all about Ellie. It's all about Ellie forgiving Joel from robbing her of her life's purpose. Yep. And then forgiving Abby for robbing Joel from her, which in turn was her new purpose. Revenge was her life goal.
I agree completely.
And now she had let that go, and it's such a beautiful moment.
And Ellie her to do. Joel wouldn't want her to lose her humanity in this moment.
No.
And she's just
Joel wasn't angry when she was dying.
And she's remembering why she was mad about Joel's death. She wasn't mad because he died. She was mad because she never had the chance.
She never got the chance
to forgive him properly.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the game.
That's what's heartbreaking. And you're right, it's only when you get to that moment that you understand every story beat, decision, why they structured it that way, why Joel died early, why you played as Abby, why you got so entrenched with Abby and Lev in that storyline, why Ellie kept going down this path, why Ellie had to leave. All these decisions that you consistently are like, I don't know why it's making it. It pays off in such an emotionally resonant way that it guts you, because Abby gets up to go, and it's just that shot of Ellie just devastated, covered in blood and tears, just lost and ashamed of who she is, but also broken down because she's finally forgiven Joel, but he's not here for it. And it breaks her, and she breaks that cycle of her own violence, of realizing it's not worth it. She doesn't want to commit the same mistake that Abby made.
Yeah.
And I love it. And we talked about this. The best shot in the game, one of the best shots of all time, is her sitting in the water, and your back is to her, and like the fog. And I mentioned this, and I was talking about this with Alex the other day, and he was kind of laughing at me, and he was like, "Oh, you're definitely reading into it there."
Your friend Alex.
My friend Alex, yeah.
He thought you were
like,
reading into it?
He thought I was reading into. I was like, that shot signifies how Ellie got lost in the fog of vengeance. She couldn't see clearly and thoroughly.
Of course, no.
And
That's
Abby
that's obviously what it's about.
And Abby got to that point, so she was able to move through it. But Ellie is stuck there now. She forgave and she moved on, but the consequences are still there.
No, I don't think you're reading into it too much.
And I think that is what that shot's saying, because yeah, she's forgiven. She's forgiven Joel.
You just made it
she's
so
alone.
obvious that you're a film student, by the way.
Oh, of course. But like
you gave yourself away.
Yeah, I know. But she is alone because of that fog of vengeance in front of her. And I think that's a beautiful frame that is imprinted in my mind forever.
Yeah.
And
it shouldn't work, but it does somehow. It's so overt.
And then from that,
so
you go to that porch scene with Joel.
Oh my God.
And this is one of the hardest times I've ever cried in my entire life. Is
not the porch scene yet.
It is.
No.
Oh, you're right. She goes back to the farm first.
You got the hands missing.
With three, her hand is kind of shaking again. She's missing two fingers. She goes upstairs and you realize it's empty. Dina left her. Dina kept her word.
Yeah.
And like, that is
devastating, man.
It's devastating. You walk in and it's empty. It's bare bones. And
all
you realize
like in one room.
Ellie broke the cycle of violence. She forgave, she empathized, but it's still too late. The world is black and white. She made the right decision, but she still has to live with those consequences. And I love that. And it goes back to, and you told me this, first game, Henry tells her, what is your fear? You don't seem to be afraid of anything. My fear is ending up alone. And she does. Yeah. At the end of this, she does. And like, part of me wants a third one because I think a full epic trilogy story would be amazing. There will be a
third one. Believe me.
But if they don't, the way this one ends, where it's hopeful with her walking off into the distance, but also tragic.
You think it's hopeful?
It's hopeful and tragic.
It's ambiguous.
She started down the path that Joel and Abby went on of redemption and forgiveness and empathy.
Yeah, and that.
But she's only just started, so she's still living with the consequences of how it's affected her and ruined her.
I know that the creators said that originally they were going to have her pick up her JJ's toy and then leave. That makes
the guitar is a better decision.
No. They were also going to go do the guitar, I think, but they were going to make it more obvious. They were going to make it more obvious that she's going to go and find JJ and Dina. But I'm so happy they didn't do that and they left it ambiguous.
Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. It's
not.
Yeah,
I know, that's amazing.
It's not.
She could shoot herself 2 seconds after we cut to credits. You don't know.
But we don't know.
I think we eventually will know in the third part down the line.
Oh, we will.
I do think there will be a third one.
I think they'll do what they did with this game, which is like, and to me, this is why it's better than the first. This is why it's the best game I think of all time and the best piece of media of all time, is because it is all about consequences. The entire game is centered around that final act of the first game. Like, you play 30 hours sorting out emotions and character decisions and allegiances and empathy and understanding of these people, all based around what Joel did.
And I love that. The guitar bit with the symbols with the guitar.
Of the guitar bit.
It's
Here, you break that down a bit.
Yeah, it's so obvious what they're doing. Of course, revenge costs a lot. She lost fingers, so she can't play the guitar anymore. Her guitar was her connection.
She's lost a part of herself to Joel. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she leaves the guitar behind, but she can't play it anymore. So she's almost.
Which I think
closed the chapter.
I think
on
when she can't play. When she can't play, to me, it is the definition of what the final scene's doing. She can't play. When she can't play, it's heartbreaking, sad. It's consequences of her revenge, of her actions. But her leaving the guitar behind, to me, is hopeful. To me, that's not saying that she's left Joel behind, but that she's left her resentment behind. Because the guitar, to me, the guitar symbolizes that, because it was like, at the end of the first game, the guitar was, I'm going to teach you to play guitar. Guitar symbolizes our new future together. And in the beginning of this, it's like, we're going to start off, every time, even the porch scene, he's talking to her and he's got the guitar. The guitar symbolizes their new relationship after the ending of the first game and the resentment and, but also leaving the resentment behind and having that future. And Ellie never had that with Joel. So to me, leaving the guitar behind me, and she's left that resentment behind. She is forgiving him. To me, that's what that means. We'll see how much of a factor like the Joel-Ellie relationship plays in the next game. Yes, Joel dies at the beginning of this game, but it's still all about that relationship. It's still all about that, which I think is so important. And the way they layered that in, despite Joel not, being a playable character and him dying the first 2-3 hours, is amazing. So I want to actually end not on that final shot, because yes, that final shot, we've talked about, great point with the symbolism of the guitar, Moses. To me, I want to end with that, with the porch scene, because I think it's the most emotionally affecting in the entire game.
Yeah.
And I was a mess. I was really upset by it, but also very uplifted by it. And the pain and the damage that had been done was difficult for the characters process. And because the game hadn't just put me in Ellie's position, but gone beyond that, I felt that way. And I just like that Ellie was like, I don't know if I can forgive you, but I will try, and I want this back.
I really like all of that. And
Joel's line even of if I had to do it again, I would. I wouldn't change a thing. And I love that. You know why? It's the first time he's really been honest with her about what happened.
Yeah.
I think him telling her about it's not the same, but it's him actually conveying his understanding of what happened. It's the first time he's truthful about it. Yeah. So you can see her open up after that, which I thought it was beautiful. And it's tragic because now that you know this, the whole game, you don't you're just oh, she's just she's still mad at Joel, this and that, but you realize this is the moment that the entire game is about. Her anger, her rage, her vengeance is all about the fact that, like you said, she didn't get that future with Joel. And I love that.
I think that if I had just put a mannequin of me sitting in this chair right now and had my voice saying, every 30 seconds, I think you could have done this podcast on your own.
Shut up. It's just, there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of analysis to be had. I mean, what, do you have any additional notes?
That scene is heartbreaking. I didn't cry. I cried. I didn't break down. I will definitely break down the second time I play it. I didn't break down because I was emotionally stunted by the moment. And I really do feel like that is one of the best interactions in the game. I'm so happy we got one final Joel scene.
One final thing.
It's almost heartbreaking to think about that in Last of Us 3, we might not get any more Troy Baker as Joel.
That is sad, but if they decided to do that, I'd be okay with that, because I think they did a good job with.
I've heard a lot of people theorize that part 3 will be about the cure, and there's someone else who can make a cure, and Ellie will sacrifice herself. That would be a logical step.
That would be a great closing arc.
I don't think I would be able to guess where they're going to take the story.
I don't think it should be that precise. I just think it should. I think that if they do 3, and it's the last one, which when Naughty Dog says that they stop making games, they do. So I believe that they would. They're not doing if they said 3 is the last one, right? So if they're doing a 3 and that's the last one, it's a trilogy. If you made it about a cure and you brought it back to her infection, to me that is a fantastic closing arc to this story.
Yeah, and
not,
I also
maybe not in that way, because you're right, you would be able to predict it, and Naughty Dog doesn't do things you predict. So they wouldn't do it that way, but revolving around that, I think would be fantastic. I think that's so great.
I can't wait to see what they do, what themes they tackle. Because this game continued some themes on perspective and whatnot, and so from that carried over from the first game. So I'm very excited to see that.
But delved even deeper.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see what they do in the third part. Sad to think that Joel won't be at the forefront, because it's just I love this character, even though he's so flawed.
But again, I'm okay with that, because this game, even though he died early, it was still so much about him.
Also, I didn't mind him dying, because he didn't die and then you never talk about him. It's the whole purpose of the game is centered around his death. Yes. And then you have all of these flashbacks. You have so many flashbacks to him that I'm like, okay, I got enough Ellie and Joel time.
Yeah, me too.
Me to be satisfied.
Too. I agree. Yep.
Also, I've said most of what I want to say, and I would like to go through r/The Last of Us 2, which if you haven't heard, is there's the Last of Us subreddit and then the Last of Us 2 subreddit, which is a toxic hellhole full of bigots and transphobic people. And I just thought I'd point out a couple posts that I've just seen scrolling. It's comparing Last of Us Part 2 to Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2, it says it stays true to its values and lessons of its predecessor. Interesting new characters that have chemistry with the old ones. Dark moments are appropriate and serve the story and generally well written. Sends off a big character in a meaningful way after a completed story. And then this is how they compare it to Last of Us Part 2. Completely ignores the moral ambiguity of the first game and paints everything as good or bad. It is way more morally ambiguous than the first game.
Than the first game. That is absurd.
Literally, I'm going to go back on what I said. It's objectively more ambiguous than the first game. Introduces new characters that are almost immediately unlikable and tries to force the player to like them. Doesn't force the player to like them. It happens very naturally.
No.
Yes, they are unlikable.
If anything, the game wants you to dislike the characters for a while.
Dark moments only seem to be done for shock value and become torture porn-esque. No, I think it also serves the purpose, which we talked about. Kills off one of the main characters at the beginning of the game due to a poorly written confrontation.
Nope.
No. No.
When you play it the first time, I understand, but when you finish the game, there's no way you can have that perspective.
No.
Knowing the full scope, even when I first played, I'm like, well, there's no context, but that's the point. And then when you understand the context, it's great.
This photo from the subreddit, if you can see it in the video, it's the sex scene between Abby and Owen, and it's Neil Druckmann pegging himself.
On Neil Druckmann, yeah.
Yes, wonderful. Let me see what else is there. You keep talking.
Well, I pretty much summed up everything I have to say. I know this was a supersized episode, but it's an unbelievable game, and I think it deserved, and it's an unbelievable story. And I think I've never seen anything like this ever, and I think it deserves that kind of attention.
Here, another thing about the ending. This is a comment on YouTube that someone's posted here. This is like collecting all of the Infinity Stones, just not to snap them at the end. You're missing the point, man.
Yeah, people are missing the point. Because people who think that she should have died at the end think that the game's about revenge, which is not what the game's about. So you are having a misunderstanding of the point of the game.
Also, I never actually got to what I wanted to say about emotional intelligence. I think a lot of the reason why people are missing the point, not even just missing the point of the game, just not being open to it, is not because they're not emotionally intelligent. It's that they aren't willing to give this level of emotional intelligence and emotional weight to a video game. Because they're used to video game stories being more of just straight up power fantasies that don't ask too much of the player. If you get what I mean.
This asks everything of you.
Yeah.
I think that's why, to me, it passes any game. And I'm not going to say it's better than the first because they're so different, but I love them both. To me, this is the best game of all time because this is asking something of me, and why I think it's one of the best pieces of media of all time. It's asked something of me as not just as a player, but as a human being that I can't think of almost anything else that has required me to invest in a way that's not, I finished that film, I finished that episode, I'm done investing. When I put this down, I could only think about it and react to it, and I'm still doing that. Days later.
I found another post about, so it's one, if you look at the video version of this, it's the meme format of a big dog, a muscly dog,
big dog,
small doge, and it says The
Send
Last
that to
of
me.
Us.
I'd like to read that.
I'll just brief it up. The Last of Us 1, the big dog doge is the same way. The first one is brilliant, which they're not wrong. The premise is about smuggling a girl and making her pure, but the plot really explores finding love again in a harsh reality. Blah blah blah. And then The Last of Us 2. The small
That's what
doge.
this is about too.
Small crying doge. I'm reading it as it's written in baby voice. Revenge bad, torture porn, make deep artistic plot, kill main character, subvert expectations. Humans are the real monsters all along. Hubba, why haters know like my story must be the lesbians.
That pretty much encapsulates the dumbasses out there in regards
Also,
to the
this
game.
subreddit has started loving and glorifying the fat dude at the end who captures Ellie and Abby from the Rattlers.
Why?
They call
It's
him
barely there.
They call him Fat Geraldo because he captures Abby, I guess.
Okay.
I
don't know. Anyways, let's close up here. I mean, it's been a long podcast.
This has been a very long podcast, and a lot of the criticisms in the subreddit, they try to paint it as real criticisms to hide their
They're not, though.
to hide their bigotry. But these people are so bigoted.
No, it's obvious. It's so obvious, and it's infuriating.
Like if you look at the comments,
it's really
infuriating. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So
all right, any closing thoughts?
Streamer who physically cut his disc in two after Joel died.
Just childish. It is just childish.
And I saw people justifying it like he lost his father and he like put so much weight on Joel as a father figure, which first of all, I'm sorry for his loss if that's true. Maybe not the best idea to put so much weight into a fictional character who, yes, he loves his surrogate child, but he's also a bad person. So maybe don't put that much weight into a video game character. Just saying, maybe see a psychologist about that. But if you have such issues with your father figure, but also people were like, he hated it so much he cut it in half. Don't think that would happen if this guy wasn't streaming on Twitch Live. I don't think he would cut his disc in half. So that's dumb.
I agree.
But yeah,
it is dumb. It is very dumb. Closing thoughts.
The argument that we got. Yeah, I know. We
gotta get on our closing thoughts, man.
The argument that hey, you talked for a while. Let me talk. The argument that
no, I know, but like
that Ellie didn't. The whole point of the game is worthless because you don't kill Abby at the end, and you let her live.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing about the first game. The whole game is about summoning Ellie to make a vaccine, and then they don't make a vaccine, and you stop that from happening. Same criticism. I can make it.
Yeah, but it's gonna be the same thing. I remember when that game came out, even though I didn't play it, like all I could hear was controversy about the end. People were back and forth on it. This will be the same. In like 2 or 3 years, people won't have that kind of criticism.
No. In 2 to 3 years, you'll still get
I don't think so.
No, you'll get the toxic hate.
I doubt it.
It'll be like The Last Jedi, where it's forever like this like weird part of the
I don't think so.
Devoted to hating it 100%.
About parts of the game, sure. But about the ending in specific, nah, I think that'll be calmed down in time.
Because of the bigots.
I don't think so, because we don't yeah, but the bigots don't come into play in the ending. And
they do.
The first ending of the ending of The Last of Us isn't people don't complain about that game anymore. That ending anymore.
Yeah, but that's a different scenario. This is bigger because it's based on characters people already love. Okay, closing thoughts. Fantastic game. One of the best pieces of media. Ryan, shut the fuck up. I'm very tired after this conversation.
Yeah, I am too. It's emotionally draining. The game is like, as you talked about, like it gets you even after the fact. Yeah. So still is.
So next week we're talking about Mistress America,
yes.
the Noah Baumbach film. Looking forward to talking about that. That's going to be exciting.
And I'll be in my new flat. So
new setting. Please make it so I don't have to look at that Joker poster ever again. Please.
Well, once I figure out which room was mine, I'll have to make choices about which posters are up and which posters are down.
I'll allow you to keep up the Blade Runner posters. I'll allow you to keep the Alien poster up, but the Joker poster can go in the bin.
Nah, not in the bin.
You can give it. I have space in my apartment. You can give it to me. I swear I won't.
Nah, you burn it. No, you burn it right away. Right away. All right. Well.
Okay. So that's the podcast.
Yes. Next week, like Moses said, Mistress America. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I know this has been a long episode, but hopefully, like,
I don't even know how long this was. Jesus.
You know, if you've played the game, hopefully you've gotten something out of this. I think you and I both gotten something out of, like, I've understood more about the game through our discussion right now than even previously. So I hope that those listening have a similar type of experience as we did. So yes. Anything else before we head off, Moses?
I'm looking at a picture of someone on the subreddit with a disc copy of The Last of Us, and it says, "On my way to return this piece of shit." Very mature.
Yes, very mature. Very mature. That's it from us this week.
Keep it Kino, stay Kino, everybody. Yeah. I hate myself. I hate the internet.
We've tired ourselves out. I also hate that faction.
I'm gonna take a nap now.
I'm gonna pack.
Ooh.
All right. Well, everybody have a good rest of your day. Stay Kino. And, up to today, we've proven that Kino just isn't, film. Kino can be in anything and everything that's art, The true essence of Kino is within all of us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, goodbye, everybody. Thank you for
Kino.
listening. Stay Kino. Till next week. Oh, and you can find us at thegoodthebadandthekino@gmail.com.
Our Letterboxd accounts are linked in the description.
In the description. All right.
I'm so
now
tired.
We're going.
I'm so tired,
right,
Ryan.
bye, everybody.
Ryan, why did you talk for so long? Bye.
So much stuff. Yeah.